Chapter 892. No matter how much Wang Wan complained about the number of special forces that Zhang Xiaobao had prepared for her, or whether she pretended to be dissatisfied, the 7 brigades of special forces below could not be thrown away. 7 brigades, 80 people in each, and 8 small teams. It just so happened that the members of the number 0 protection team formed a team with 9 people each. Looking at the way they sat on the horses without using stirrups, looking at their eyes and the slight movements of their bodies, Wang Wan could understand the strength of this team. The invention of stirrups was epic-making. However, without stirrups, as long as the person was skilled enough, he or she could do more things on the horses. Hide. Wang Wan puffed up her chest and gave the order to the special forces. The flag on the city wall that was specially used to give orders to the special forces waved back and forth a few times. 560 people almost instantly slipped off their horses. Yes, they slipped off their horses. They did not move as fast as normal people. It was as if they were thieves. Then, they quickly squeezed into the crowd. In the beginning, they could still see them weaving in and out of the dazed crowd. After a while, the people who were staring suddenly realized that the target was gone. Where did the person I was staring at go? He ran so fast. A person on the side of the road was puzzled. Just now his eyes were locked on a person, wanting to see what the other party was going to do. In the end, that person seemed to have stopped in an invisible place, blocked by something. After waiting for a while, there was still no movement. That thing was a cart with cooked food. The cart moved, but the person was gone. This person was puzzled and asked the person who had squeezed the side to give out food. The person who delivered the food, Wei, lowered her head. He just took off his coat and took the food from the car. He avoided most of the people's line of sight and used the car to block and walked a few steps away. He adjusted his distance away from the normal line of sight and changed his direction. How did you know? Give me one of Jiao's pig feet. Ghost, when did you come to my side? Now, when the person who spoke turned around to take the food, he suddenly recognized the person who delivered the food. It was the person he was staring at just now. Why are you staring at me? And your hand is still on your waist. Do you want to harm someone? The man raised his head and stared at him with the gaze of a person delivering gifts. You can change your eyes too? I'm just curious. I'm the Secretary of State of Chang County, and I always have to keep my accounts. I always keep my hands there, because I'm afraid that I'll lose them in the crowd. I don't mean any harm. Aren't the special forces very good on the battlefield? Why did it change? Zhang Xiaobao's hot air balloon floated over at the fastest speed and shouted at the top of his voice, "What's the matter? Lower your voice. I can hear you. You made 6,000 hot air balloons. Isn't it a waste? You can use other things, but you made so many hot air balloons. Where are you going to throw them?" Wang Wan's lips moved. Zhang Xiaobao quickly replied, "It's not a waste. In order to make you happy, I won't waste any money. Besides, I have other plans. So it's not all for me? You continue to count tonight. I won't let you count tonight. See how I'll deal with you tonight. When it's over, go and wash up." After Wang Wan finished speaking, she bit her lip and began to wait for the hot air balloons to arrive. Her face was as pink as the morning glow. "Understood. I'll wash up. What about you?" Zhang Xiaobao was happy. This day had finally come. "I'll prepare a pot and steam you. Stay away. Don't give orders in front of me." Wang Wan glanced at Zhang Xiaobao. She didn't dare to look at Zhang Xiaobao and turned her head to look at the hot air balloons. Xiaobei blinked his big eyes and looked confused. He said to Xiao Yuan, "Brother and sister seem to want to play by themselves tonight. They won't tell us stories. I think that's the case. What should we do?" This is called Guan Guan Jujiu in the state of the river. A fair and gentle lady, a gentleman's mate. Later on, a fair and gentle lady, where bells and drums play. When we grow up, it'll be the same. Xiao Yuan was indeed a cultured person. He knew a lot and recited a line of the book of songs for Xiaobei. Xiaobei turned his head and looked at Xiao Yuan. "Who's like you?" Unless you can do what my brother did with your own abilities, I'll want it too. What do you want? Xiao Yuan asked a little diffidently. I want what my brother gave to my sister. A bay of lakes on both sides of the tide, 3 mountains around the Sisui River, 5 towers with 6 armies gathered, 7 teams of elites with 8 banners, 9 days sheltered from the sun, 100 miles of carriages and livestock, 10,000 acres of fragrant lotus fields, 100 boxes of pearls on a sliding plate, 9 feet of coral branches spread out, 80 years of ironwood flowers blooming, 7 feet of silver built into a boudoir, 6 circles of golden silk around the city, 5 forests of agarwood, 3 crystal houses with 2 layers of eaves, deep love and unchanging heart. Xiao Bei had a hard time carrying other things, but this was the first thing he could do. Xiao Yuan's forehead, which didn't sweat much, was now shining with Weiwei. He rubbed his forehead with the back of his hand. I can do the last one. The first part is all money. Some can't be bought with money. I'll tell my brother and let him get it. Who did my brother tell? Now the hot air balloon flying here is ready to cover the sky of Chang. From now on, there will be no more extravagance in the Tang Empire. So you have to work hard and surpass them with your own abilities. Xiao Bei's eyes were full of little stars. She didn't know anything about love. She only knew that if you played with me, I would play with you. If you were good to me, I would be good to you. But her brother was so good to her sister that he got so many things to play with. Xiao Yuan opened his mouth and finally said helplessly, "Forget it, I can't get it. I've decided to count the moon for the rest of my life." The 2 children didn't care too much, but the other adults' hearts were fluctuating. People say that a promise is worth 1,000 kilograms, but Zhang Xiaobao's words are worth more than 1,000 kilograms of gold. After this, no one can compete with him. Alas, it's hard for other men who are going to get married recently. Li Sun's father, Li Qingyi, also came to the capital to watch the fun. After all, his son had been helped a lot by the Zhang family and the Wang family. It would be unreasonable if he didn't come to support the scene. Seeing this scene, he sighed with emotion. He still didn't know that if it weren't for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, he would have died. He could live until now because of the 2 of them. Prince Ning, Li Xian, was right next to Li Qingyi. His son, Li Yu, had also been helped by Zhang Xiaobao many times. When he heard the voice, he nodded and said, "Yes, Sun is not getting married. I guess he wants to find someone similar to Cuckoo. Unfortunately, there is only one Cuckoo. It's time to talk about him." Li Sun was actually his son, who was adopted by Li Qingyi. Although he couldn't say it openly, he also missed him. While everyone was in a daze or whispering, 6,000 hot air balloons floated over. Without Wang Wan's command, they automatically pulled into rows and stopped in the sky above Chang'an. Then, they ejected ropes from each other. When the ropes were connected to each hot air balloon, they began to use the ropes to carry the wide cloth over. Strips of cloth replaced the ropes. The moment the 6,000 hot air balloons were connected, the whole of Chang'an lost its color. The sun was blocked, letting the people below feel the shade. This is the 9 heavens, shade the sun for 10 days, cover the 9 heaven sun, cover the 9 heaven sun, moon and stars, rest for 10 dynasties? No, if he covers the sun for 10 days, won't it be chaotic? Li Shi, tell Zhang Xiaobao that he has enough face. He can't go too far. Just covering the sun for 1 day will be enough. Li Longji looked at the dark sky and said in fear. Gao Lishir was also scared. His adopted son really dared to do this. If someone played a trick and shot the fire arrows up, wouldn't it burn up all of them? The whole of Chang'an would be in a sea of fire. Thinking about this, Gao Lishir immediately sent a telegram to Zhang Xiaobao, telling him to restrain himself. Not long after, Zhang Xiaobao replied, saying that he would go to the palace early the next morning to explain. This action had other uses, so it was guaranteed that nothing would go wrong. Li Longji thought about it for a while and finally chose to believe Zhang Xiaobao. But if he didn't make it clear tomorrow morning and convince everyone, he would have to withdraw immediately. Today, the 10,000 riders would have to work a little harder. When they suddenly realized that the sky was dark, the children in Chang acted as if they had seen something fun. They laughed and ran around, looking very excited. The adults were speechless. After shaking their heads and sighing, they looked for a carriage that delivered food and wine to eat and drink. This was a gift from the Zhang family. They ate for 10 days straight. They couldn't imagine how much the Zhang family had spent on this. Wang Wan also arranged for the soldiers of the battalion to maintain law and order outside. The special forces were scattered to guard key places to prevent anyone from causing trouble. After everything was arranged and people sat next to all the carriages, eating, drinking, and chatting, the sun had already passed. Zhang Xiaobao was nowhere to be seen, and no one knew what he was busy with. The people of the Wang family were busy putting the things that had been delivered into the warehouse one by one. Those that they couldn't put away were distributed to other places. They didn't have time to count them, nor did they count them like other families. Excited, and shy, Wang Wan felt both physically and mentally exhausted and went to rest. At night, when the lanterns were lit, Wang Wan, who had changed her clothes, entered the crystal house. She spread the bedding, lit the candles, and prepared the food and wine, waiting for Zhang Xiaobao to come in. Although it wasn't the time to get married yet, Wang Wan didn't care. Zhang Xiaobao had done everything that should be done. She believed that no woman would continue to be reserved. After waiting for about a quarter of an hour, Zhang Xiaobao, who had also changed his clothes, came in a little nervous. His small face was pink and tender, and it was unknown whether it was because he was excited or because he was scrubbed in the shower. You haven't slept yet?" Zhang Xiaobao lowered his head and walked to the side of the table, asking Wang Wan, "If I sleep, what will you do? Come here, I'll drink 2 glasses of wine with you. Tell me, how many good girls have you cheated with this trick before?" Wang Wan said with her beautiful eyes, full of love, "No, I used to cheat big officials, banks, and so on. If I want to cheat, you are the first one." Zhang Xiaobao took 2 deep breaths, gave himself courage, and then dared to sit opposite Wang Wan. Wang Wan picked up the wine bottle, poured the wine inside into 2 glasses, and pushed 1 glass in front of Zhang Xiaobao, and said softly, "Tonight, I am your man. Do you have anything to say?" "Yes, tonight I am your man. Do you have anything to say?" Zhang Xiaobao nervously repeated. "Huffed." Wang Wan laughed. "Zhang Xiaobao, with your current performance, you think you can cheat people? Won't the people you cheated die in anger?" "Yes, die in anger. Cheers." Zhang Xiaobao's hand that was holding the glass was pale. Fortunately, the crystal glass was strong enough, otherwise it would have been crushed by him. "Cheers. How do you drink?" "Give me your arm." "What for?" "Let's drink cross-cupped wine." "Okay, let's drink." Zhang Xiaobao stretched out his arm, and the 2 of them drank in 1 gulp. Wang Wan poured another cup and continued to drink. She downed 3 cups in a row and did not touch the dishes at all. Wang Wan, whose cheeks were rosy, carefully walked to the bed. She turned over and did not make a sound. Zhang Xiaobao quivered and then quickly followed. Chapter 893. It was already past noon, and the sunlight seeped through the gaps in the cloth, creating a dreamy and hazy scene. Zhang Xiaobao opened his eyes and looked around blankly. Only then did he remember where he was. Turning his head to look at Wang Wan, who was still sleeping on his arm, he suddenly felt a different feeling in his heart. In the past, he had also slept like this, but he had never felt the urge to shoulder all the responsibilities and not let the other party suffer the slightest grievance. In the past, he had just been someone who accompanied him in Great Tang. At the very least, the 2 of them weren't strangers, and they were more like friends. The reason why he protected the other party was because he was a man. But today he was protecting the other party because he was the other party's man. Now that he truly had her, he had an additional desire to protect her. Looking at those eyelashes that naturally curled up without the need for eyelashes and that relaxed and sweet expression on her face, Zhang Xiaobao couldn't help but inch his lips closer, wanting to kiss Wang Wan's slightly chubby cheeks and those little red lips. "What are you doing so sneakily?" Just as Zhang Xiaobao's lips were about to touch Wang Wan's face, Wang Wan's words gave Zhang Xiaobao a fright. Like a thief, he hurriedly explained. Nothing, I'm just looking. Are you done looking? Yes, I'm done looking. Then give me a kiss. Oh, why did the feeling suddenly change? I should be the one taking the initiative, but I actually took the initiative after just a few words. Are you hungry? Zhang Xiaobao pressed his lips against Wang Wan's face and rubbed them vigorously as he asked in satisfaction. Aren't you going to cook for Li Longji? My mother said that I should be the one making breakfast for you. Wang Wan lazily yawned. Don't all wealthy families have maids to serve them? Why would your mother tell you this? We're not an ordinary family. Zhang Xiaobao continued to stare at Wang Wan, and no matter how much he stared, he couldn't get enough of it. Did I say anything about Li Longji? Let's talk about it tonight. He's not as important as my wife. Wang Wan pursed her lips and smiled. Then she sighed a little sadly and said, It's mother, not mother. She said to fry eggs for men to nourish their bodies, otherwise they would be weak. Are you weak? Me? A young man sleeping on a cold brick bed depends entirely on the heat. Zhang Xiaobao tried his best to stick out his chest. Loquacious. Hubby, do you feel like it's not that precious anymore after you get it? Wang Wan asked calmly. Zhang Xiaobao's eyes were, Who said that? Later tonight, I'll go find Xiao Li and buy Mount Huangshan for you to go on an outing. We already have pavilions in the 5 mountains. People say that when you return from the 5 mountains, you don't look at the mountains. When you return from Mount Huangshan, you don't look at the mountains. This matter is settled. When the time comes, we'll go whichever type of pine tree you want. Wait, I'll go make soup for you. You can eat it. As he spoke, Zhang Xiaobao slipped out of bed naked. He randomly put on his clothes and walked out. Wang Wan was lying on the bed. Her eyes were slightly red as she called out, Husband, lie down, it'll be done in a while. I'll use the pressure cooker and add some other medicine. Zhang Xiaobao ordered Wang Wan with a look that didn't allow her to refuse. He turned around and walked out of the room. Half an hour later, Wang Wan got up, washed up, changed into a gorgeous dress, and tied up her hair. She sat at the table. At this time, the black chicken soup was already on the table. Zhang Xiaobao held a spoon in his hand. He was a little angry and a little helpless. He scooped up a spoonful, blew it, and tasted it. Then, he sent it to Wang Wan's mouth and said, Drink it. I didn't make it. Dr. Sun brought 2 interns to make it. There are red dates and the long white ginseng we found. I asked him to add motherwort, but he didn't. He said no. I saw that he was old, so I let him do it and didn't argue with him. He started to stew it since last night. Sigh. When the family is big, there are also some things that are uncomfortable. Many things that you want to do by yourself are taken care of by others. Taste it and remember the taste. Next time, I'll make it. Let's see who does it better. Of course, it's my Xiao Bao who does it better. Okay, I'll do it myself. If I let you do it, will you kill it? Wang Wan wanted to take the spoon, but when she saw Zhang Xiaobao insist, she had to open her mouth and slowly drink it. Zhang Xiaobao scooped up another spoonful, blew it again, and said while feeding it to Wang Wan, Isn't it just killing a chicken? It's simple. Old man Sun used boiling water to boil it. When I do it, I first feed the chicken the yellow wine made with wolfberry, and then directly pinch its neck. In this way, the medicinal wine can better enter the meat and suffocate it to death. It's too cruel. I won't talk to you anymore. N. My husband is the best. I'm afraid that a weak woman like me who trembles at the sight of blood can't bear it. My husband is so considerate. Wang Wan drank the second spoonful and said, biting her lips and smiling, You tremble at the sight of blood because you're excited. Drink, drink. If you like it, I'll make it for you every day in the future. Don't be busy today. Someone is in charge of the army. Ask Kuzi to come over and surround us. Trespassers kill. Zhang Xiaobao just remembered that Wang Wan was not the weak woman who had been conquered by him last night. She was a master who killed people without batting an eyelid like him, let alone a chicken. Thinking of what he said just now, he looked up at the sky and pondered. Wang Wan gently took the spoon and drank it. After a while, she saw that Zhang Xiaobao was still looking at the sky in a daze. She nudged him with her leg and said, "Xiaobao, don't buy anymore. Xiao Li has already made too many concessions. He let you use the city wall of Chang and to wrap the golden wire and let you mobilize the army. We can't break the rules of the game." I know. We follow the same rules. There are gains and losses. I'll let him give me the Yellow Mountain himself, and I'll give it to you. I'll build a cable car and train you like Su Daji. What's so good about wine and meat? It's too tasteless. Zhang Xiaobao came back to his senses. He held his chin with both hands and looked into the distance. After the meal, Wang Wan went to find the Jiang Wang clan and her mother to have a private chat. Zhang Xiaobao buried himself in writing a plan. After thinking about it, he had people put the tools that were not used much in the house into a small cart and pulled it to the hibiscus garden. As soon as he entered the hibiscus garden, Luo Bin, who had been waiting at the door for a long time, greeted him. "My young Master Zhang, you're finally here. Her Majesty hasn't eaten anything since morning. She's just drinking tea. Why didn't you call me?" Zhang Xiaobao said hypocritically. Call you? I wanted to go, but Her Majesty said that if you don't want to live, you can go. She said that life is short. Xiaobao is more reserved. Maybe he would find a chance to do something behind the scenes. But who knows, Cuckoo might kill him on the spot. Luo Bin smiled bitterly. Chapter 894. Li Longji sat there and patiently looked at the teapot. There were 6 types of desserts on the small table in front of him, as well as 6 plates of preserved fruits, sunflower seeds, and hu beans. None of them were missing, but there were no traces of them being touched. It seemed that no one ate them. Zhang Xiaobao casually glanced around and pretended not to see such a situation. He couldn't possibly ignore his wife and accompany others. Seeing that there were no stools nearby, he directly squatted on the ground and looked up at the sky. You don't say. There are a few pieces of cloth blocking the sky, so it's much cooler down there. Does Your Majesty feel that the summer heat is gradually disappearing? We feel extremely hungry. Does Official Zhang feel that your waist is sore and your legs are weak? Li Longji felt nauseous just from smelling the tea. He could understand Zhang Xiaobao's feelings, but when he thought about how he was starving in the hibiscus garden while Zhang Xiaobao was enjoying himself with his wife in his arms, he felt that it was unfair. So he deliberately said this. "Oh, this subject is preparing to cook for Your Majesty. Aya, could it be that Your Majesty has ever felt that your waist is sore and your legs are weak? This subject has never felt that way. This subject has a plan to make a fortune. Your Majesty, please take a look. This subject will go and cook." Zhang Xiaobao stood up and had someone pass the written proposal to Li Longji. Then he walked towards the kitchen utensils. In order to buy the right to operate Mount Huangshan, he still had to cook. Li Longji was indeed hungry. He anxiously watched as Zhang Xiaobao went to cook. He pushed the teapot to the side, wanting to take some honey money to eat. After hesitating for a moment, he restrained himself and took the proposal and began to read it word by word. Zhang Xiaobao's large spoon made a clattering sound, while Li Longji flipped through the pages. In contrast to the quiet environment, it was very harmonious. When Zhang Xiaobao finished cooking the 3rd dish and had someone bring it over, Li Longji had already forgotten that it was time to eat. His eyes were still staring at the proposal, captivated by the contents of the proposal. It wasn't until Zhang Xiaobao finished preparing 4 dishes and 1 soup that Li Longji, who noticed that there was no more commotion, finally came out of the proposal. He looked at the dishes on the table, the proposal, and then at Zhang Xiaobao. After pondering for a while, he asked, "Xiaobao, have you eaten?" Yes. They're all for His Majesty. No one stole them." As Zhang Xiaobao spoke, he glanced at where Gao Lishir was. There were a lot of fruit peels in the trash bin next to him, as well as oiled paper used to wrap food. It was obvious that Gao Lishir had not starved with Li Longji. Li Longji picked up a piece of pig intestine and threw it into his mouth. It didn't have a bad smell, as someone had already cleaned it up. When there were no chili peppers, Zhang Xiaobao would never make such things for Li Longji, nor would he let the people in the palace purchase such ingredients. After eating 2 in a row, Li Longji drank some wine. He put down his chopsticks and asked Zhang Xiaobao, "Xiaobao, today you came here to talk about the things that provide shade from the sky, not the tourism joint development plan. Do you really want to block it for 10 days? Then last night, cuckoo already, right? The things in the sky are no longer important. Your goal has been achieved. You want me to lie to my wife?" This time, Zhang Xiaobao didn't even bother to address him as a courtesy. In order to show proper etiquette, he had prepared a series of things. He couldn't just withdraw the things before they were done. "Xiaobao, His Majesty, is worried that someone will start the fire. Otherwise, not to mention 10 days, even if you block it for a month, His Majesty won't let you withdraw it." Gao Lisher helped to explain. "Even if someone starts the fire, we still have to block it for 10 days. Zhang Xiaobao insisted on his decision. Li Longji looked up at the sky again, put down his chopsticks, and said to Zhang Xiaobao, "But if there is a fire, you will be responsible for all the losses. You will have to pay for every place that is burned. If someone is burned, I will punish you. How can you disregard the safety of the people of Chang'an for your own personal gain?" Zhang Xiaobao choked for a moment. Seeing that Li Longji was beginning to talk seriously, his attitude changed. He said, "Your Majesty, please don't be anxious. I have a way to prevent others from doing anything." "What way? Are you going to let the soldiers keep watch every day? Keep an eye on the residents? Serve your 6,000 hot air balloons?" Li Longji picked up the spoon again, scooped up a piece of mashed potato, and held it to his mouth. Zhang Xiaobao waved at a palace made beside him and pointed at the tray in her hands. There were fruits on it. The palace maid happily walked over and only stopped when she was about to squeeze into Zhang Xiaobao's body. She said softly, "Young Master Zhang, please. Call me Jidushi Zhang." Zhang Xiaobao corrected her and shrank back. The palace maid was too enthusiastic. "Yes, young Master Zhang." The palace maid bowed her head and replied. Li Longji was still waiting for Zhang Xiaobao's reply. When he saw the palace maid's reaction, he was stunned. When did Zhang Xiaobao hook up with the palace maid beside him? Gao Lisher, who understood Li Longji, saw the emperor in a daze and immediately understood what was going on. He whispered into his ear, "Xiaobao's extravagance for cuckoo has made many women yearn for him. Lu He also owes Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family a favor. Lu He's family is in the capital." A few days ago, she sent a letter saying that her father was seriously ill. She went to the Imperial Academy of Medicine to seek treatment, but no one could treat her. She also couldn't get medicine. Just as she was feeling anxious, news secretly came from outside the palace that her father had been admitted to the Chang'an branch of the Day Hospital in the capital. The Imperial Academy of Medicine is not responsible for this matter. If we want to pursue, we need to investigate Lu He's secret communication with outsiders. However, it is impossible to prevent this kind of thing. Therefore, it is better to sort it out. I will open up a little and allow people close to the family to send letters. They must first be checked and read in person. The letters cannot be sent outside the palace. Li Longji nodded gently. He also understood that this kind of thing couldn't be prevented. He had used it before, but he had never heard of a dynasty that could prevent any news from leaking out. Opening up a mouth would make it much easier to manage. The Imperial Academy of Medicine is not wrong. There are too many palace maids and miscellaneous people in the palace. Everyone's request will be answered. I'm afraid there won't be enough time. However, how can the Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family be so busy? As soon as the news came in, the other side immediately sent it to the hospital. If it wasn't the Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family, but another person or power, and they imitated the Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family's way of doing things, they would let palace maids and miscellaneous people assassinate me. Would I still have to be on tenterhooks every day? The officials of the Imperial Academy of Medicine also have disciples. Why not wait for people with inferior status in the palace to ask for help and then send their disciples? First, they can save people. Second, they can be familiar with the matter. If they encounter difficulties, they can ask their masters for advice and discuss with each other. We can't chill the hearts of the people below us. We don't expect everyone in the palace to be like the inner court of the Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family. When in danger, they will fight to the death for their master. At the very least, they won't turn around and attack, right? If you don't believe me, we can beat Xiaobao with a stick right now and have someone send it over ruthlessly. When they return, Xiaobao will definitely only have superficial wounds. What do you think? Li Longji felt a bit uncomfortable. The Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family reacted too quickly to his matters in the palace. Yes, the Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family had always been the most efficient, but they shouldn't have used it in this aspect. If it was another power instead of the Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family, what would happen? Gao Lisher nodded his head fiercely. He admitted that even if the emperor ordered someone to beat Xiaobao ruthlessly, the final result would only be superficial wounds. Even if he didn't say anything and didn't give him face, the result would still be the same regardless of who in the palace carried out the punishment. Yes, Your Majesty. This subject will arrange it in a moment. Your Majesty, if you don't eat now, the food will get cold. Gao Lisher reminded the emperor. In fact, he was telling the emperor that Xiaobao was still waiting. Zhang Xiaobao was indeed waiting. Waiting for the two of them to finish talking was not a good feeling. It was hard to get rid of the favor of a beauty. The out-of-season watermelon on the tray was cut into pieces with seeds on it. Right now it was still impossible to research a seedless fruit. Louis held the tray in one hand and a small piece of bamboo in the other. She pulled out the seeds one by one and then raised her head to look hopefully at Zhang Xiaobao, waiting for him to eat. Zhang Xiaobao didn't want to rush over with a cold face, but he couldn't stand the other's gaze. He could only slow down and hope that Li Longji and his godfather would finish talking quickly and think of him. Li Longji turned his head to look. Of course, Zhang Xiaobao was looking at him with a bitter face. He coughed lightly and said, "Lu He, why don't you leave the palace and be Xiaobao's second wife's maid? What do you think?" Lu He's face turned red. She lowered her head and softly replied, "This servant is reluctant to leave Your Majesty. If Your Majesty really, Your Majesty, where was this subject just now? I remember, it's the 6,000 hot air balloons in the sky. Your Majesty, listen to this subject in detail." Zhang Xiaobao didn't dare to let Lu He continue. Otherwise, if he went back and brought one back, what would Wang Wan think? He quickly interrupted and didn't look at Lu He's resentful expression. When Lu He slowly returned to her position, Li Longji looked at Zhang Xiaobao and waited for him to talk about how to deal with the problem in the sky. At the same time, he continued to fill his stomach. When Zhang Xiaobao came, he was already prepared. He immediately said, "This subject plan is about the tourism alliance. Ordinary people don't have enough money to follow the tour group for many days and visit the mountains and lakes. Therefore, it is only prepared for the rich. It is mentioned that newlyweds can go on a half-price honeymoon tour. Ordinary people can go to the nearby tourist attractions, and wealthy people can go with the tour group. However, there are so many places, and this subject can't manage all of them. It's not that this subject can't manage, but if too much money is gathered, it won't be good for the country. Even if this subject is full, there are still many people who are hungry. Therefore, this subject intends to find people to develop a joint venture and share the benefits. This year, this subject is participating in the autumn imperial examinations. This subject needs a good reputation. Even if this subject has to pretend, this subject has to pretend well. Otherwise, this subject's moral character will be damaged, and it will be inconvenient for this subject to do things in the future. Your Majesty, eat less mashed potatoes. They are not easy to digest." As Zhang Xiaobao spoke, Li Longji's attention was completely on Zhang Xiaobao. He scooped up mashed potatoes with the spoon in his hand, causing Zhang Xiaobao to worry for him. If he had known this would happen, he would have added some eggplant to the stew, or at least made the sauce a little salter. "Oh, Xiaobao's mashed potatoes are not bad. They can be used as a dish and as a meal. In the future, when there are more of them, they can be sent to wherever there is a disaster. If the children don't eat in time for school, they can be used to fill their stomachs. Xiao Bao, continue speaking. Li Longji did not feel uncomfortable. He put down his spoon and picked up his chopsticks, continuing to eat other things. A palace maid poured wine for him at the side. However, Zhang Xiaobao suddenly said, "Your Majesty, this subject does not intend to let the children eat this when they are in school. This subject is conflicted about this matter, and it is inconvenient for this subject to state clearly. If there is a merchant who does not wish to continue with the Chaoyang operation, this subject will take over and form a local chamber of commerce to take care of the children's meals. However, when the children grow up and study, the merchant who does not participate will not be allowed to recruit such people." After saying this, Zhang Xiaobao seemed to be trying to suppress the unhappiness in his heart. He took a few deep breaths before continuing. This subject has brought the 6,000 hot air balloons for two reasons. One is to make Cuckoo happy, and the other is to rent them to other merchants to advertise and operate. They can be used to transport passengers to view the scenery from above. They will be rented to merchants, but my people will be in charge of controlling them. They will be distributed to various places. Firstly, the exact situation of the hot air balloons will not be revealed. Secondly, the people in charge of controlling the balloons will be able to collect information at any time. They will be able to see the appearance of various places from above and listen to what the tourists say. Today, this subject will release an announcement to allow the merchants to choose which hot air balloon to rent. Whoever rents, it will be in charge of looking after the hot air balloon from below. After 10 days, this subject will bring the merchants to the designated place. This will also allow the merchants to understand how long the hot air balloon can fly in the sky and how stable it is. This way, there will be no need to send people to look after the balloons. This subject is also preparing to link up several large mountains, lakes, and rivers to form the largest tourism group in Great Tang. The management and taxes will be unified. Even if someone does not do a good job, there will be a way to deal with them. Zhang Xiaobao pointed at the hot air balloons in the sky. Even after his explanation, all of the hot air balloons would be distributed to make money and gather information. This was also what Wang Wan wanted to ask. Why did he have so many hot air balloons? Li Longji had already forgotten to eat when he heard this. Wei Wei opened her mouth and pointed at Zhang Xiaobao. He said, "This subject knows that your thoughts are not that simple. You promised Cuckoo that you would cover her for 10 days, so you built 6,000 hot air balloons. But you were afraid that you would lose too much money, so you rented them out to others. In other words, other people are paying for you to curry favor with Cuckoo. At this time, you are still thinking about making money. Xiaobao, not bad. This subject is under your management of the Great Tang Bank. This subject is not afraid of losing money. No, this is not what I am thinking. I am thinking for the merchants of Great Tang. Do I lack this little bit of money? If I treat others to meals for 10 days, how much would that cost? All the people in Chang and can only go out, but not in. I just want to look at the Cuckoo. I can't hold anything else in my heart." Zhang Xiaobao shook his head vigorously and refused to admit it. "You are really treating others to meals and not in?" Li Longji was used to not taking Zhang Xiaobao's words seriously. "Yes. Really? Really? Speak louder. Say it like you're in the right. Really? Really? Continue. This subject will not ask about this." Li Longji understood that Zhang Xiaobao would not be so kind as to lose money just for fun. He could not imagine how Cuckoo would feel when she found out. Would she be happy to have a husband who could make money no matter what he did? Or would she be angry that her husband had other tricks up his sleeve when he gave her gifts? Okay, continue. When the time comes, this subject will link up all the places of Great Tang with good scenery. Depending on the situation, this subject will come up with a half-year inspection tour, a quarter tour, a month tour, a half-month tour, and other detailed plans for the tourists to choose from. For example, the 5 peaks cannot be left out. For example, Dongting Lake, Poyang Lake, Taihu Lake, Chao Lake, and other lakes cannot be left out. When the time comes, we will work together with the merchants to improve and make money together. No beautiful place can be left out. Zhang Xiaobao took out a map from his bosom, folded it, and spread it on the ground for Li Longji to see. He had circled all the places with slightly better scenery with a red pen. Li Longji looked up. The other places were fine, but he noticed that there was a place in the Jiangnan West Road where many rivers were marked with red lines, but there was a large empty space in the middle. It was very awkward. Upon closer inspection, he recognized it and pointed at it with his chopsticks. Isn't there a Mount Huangshan here? Wouldn't it be a waste to not circle it in? Your Majesty is asking about Mount Huangshan? Mount Huangshan is good, but if we let the local merchants or other merchants develop it, it will cost too much. The losses outweigh the gains. The investment is not proportional to the income. Zhang Xiaobao casually explained. Li Longji nodded at Wei Wei and suddenly asked, "Then what about you? Can't you do it?" Your Majesty, you have already bought many places for this subject. Although they are only in name, this subject can still manage them. Wouldn't it be bad to have another emperor? This subject can't take out anything else to give your Majesty. Zhang Xiaobao did not say the words exchange of interests, but his meaning was clear. Do you think I lack these things? One more Mount Huangshan is not much, one less is not much. Take it and link it together. If you leave out one Mount Huangshan, it will be very uncomfortable. At this time, Li Longji was thinking about how lively it would be when the tour groups were linked together. How much tax would it be, and how convenient it would be for him to walk around. The Mount Huangshan on the map was not big, and the rivers with red lines seemed to be very thick. He waved his hand and gave it away. Zhang Xiaobao was stunned for a moment. After a few breaths, he recovered and hurriedly said, "This subject thanks Your Majesty. Your Majesty, this subject has a supplementary plan regarding the risk assessment and development route of Mount Huangshan. Your Majesty, please take a look." As he spoke, Zhang Xiaobao took out a paper from his chest. Looking at the thickness of the paper, it was estimated that a lot of thought had been put into this plan for Mount Huangshan. This time, it was Li Longji's turn to be stunned. "Wait, Xiaobao, don't be anxious. What did you say just now?" "I said that I gave Mount Huangshan to this subject, and this subject gave it to Cuckoo. The specific development plan is all here. Your Majesty, please take a look." Zhang Xiaobao took 2 steps forward and forced the plan to Li Longji. Chapter 895. When he came out of the hibiscus garden, Zhang Xiaobao was holding a stack of books, which were heavy and heavy. They were given to him by Li Longji after he got the rights to develop Mount Huangshan and the authorship. Li Longji was in a good mood and said that the questions for this year's autumn imperial examinations would probably come from these books. Li Longji asked him to read more in case his results were bad. Zhang Xiaobao was so grateful that he was about to cry. He looked at the Mount Huangshan on the map and kept promising that he would read and understand the books. "Young master, do you want to read books?" The person in charge of waiting outside saw Zhang Xiaobao come out and took the books. He asked as he walked to the carriage. "When we came, Xiaobei said that there was no paper plane left. I happened to see that His Majesty had useless books, so I asked for them and brought them back for Xiaobei. When you bring them back, if Xiao Yuan sees them, tell him not to memorize them. It's not worth wasting energy." Zhang Xiaobao patted the dust on his hands and opened the curtain. He ordered the servant as he sat inside. The servant glanced at the cover of the book. There was an obvious mark of the palace on it. It was a book bestowed by the emperor. He said seriously, "I've noted it down. His Majesty is really good. He even bestowed this book to Xiaobei. Of course, His Majesty is very wise. Today, he gave me Mount Huangshan. Later, I will pay to repair the canal. Yesterday, Qian Fan came over and damaged it. I estimate that he will have to give me more than 100,000 strings of coins." Zhang Xiaobao seemed to be muttering to the servant and to himself. The servant knew about this kind of exchange and nodded. Is the naming rights of Mount Huangshan worth so much? There's also a large area around it, as well as the development and use of various resources. If you really want to talk about value, 100,000 strings of coins is not worth it. Let's go back. When Zhang Xiaobao came, he planned to buy Huangshan. He was ready to fight with Li Longji. But who knew that Li Longji didn't do as he expected? He directly agreed. He was probably confused because he was hungry. Although Zhang Xiaobao said that he was giving it to Li Longji for free, he couldn't take it for free. However, he also couldn't continue to give Li Longji the money to buy the Yellow Mountain. A win in a fight was a win, so he could only compensate him in other ways. It just so happened that the Chaozhou Canal hadn't been properly cleaned for 2 years. He used the excuse of 1,000 sails into the Chaozhou Canal to pay for the Yellow Mountain. The servant who received Zhang Xiaobao found a place to put the book away and returned to the driver's seat. He cracked his whip in the air, reminding the people who were secretly protecting him to leave. Only then did he shout "Ja!" and urge the horse forward. He leaned back and reported to Zhang Xiaobao through the window. "Young master, someone from master's side came just now. He said that the railway has been laid out outside of Chang. He asked if it would be built in sections or all at once. If all at once, it would definitely affect the pedestrians, and it would take too much time to do so." "Yes, I know. Let's talk about it when we get home. We have to build it together. That way, we can have a bigger impact and let people know about the railway and the train. With the train, the roads in and around Chang will have to be rebuilt. It's not good to always let horses run around. Bicycles can also be used to transport goods by manpower. Now that the technology is good enough, we don't have to continue hiding it. We can also promote the overseas merchants to obtain rubber." Zhang Xiaobao just sat in the carriage and did the planning with the coachman. He didn't feel that there was anything abrupt. The coachman either thought or nodded. He listened very seriously. He knew that this was a rare opportunity. Usually, there were very few opportunities to get the young master and the young lady to talk. If he listened more, he could learn more. When he went back, he could exchange ideas with others and gain more knowledge. It wasn't easy to be a servant in the Zhang family and the Wang family. One had to be born in a village. The few Zhuangzi in the Zhang family and the Wang family, as well as the original villagers in Zhuangzi of the Ge family, had to be literate. They also had to study daily and not ask questions. Any qualified servant was as knowledgeable as the steward in the Prime Minister's house. The coachman was now thinking of ways to improve the driving ability of the carriage and the feelings of the people riding it. After walking for a while, Zhang Xiaobao found that the coachman deliberately slowed down. Not only did he not reprimand him, he sped up his speech so that the coachman could listen more. Actually, to put it bluntly, don't think of what you see as an isolated existence. Even if it doesn't directly affect the matter, you have to think of a way to connect what you see to other aspects. Before Zhang Xiaobao got off the carriage and entered the house, he said this to the coachman. The coachman stood respectfully beside the carriage and watched as Zhang Xiaobao entered. He said, "Thank you, young master. I will remember." The people standing at the door looked at the coachman enviously. They knew that the young master must have taught the coachman many things. It was a pity that they didn't hear it and couldn't ask the young master. The young master was very busy. "Here, take Huangshan." After returning to the courtyard, Zhang Xiaobao went straight to his mother and placed a piece of paper in front of Wang Wan. Wang Wan didn't look at the paper. Instead, she looked at Zhang Xiaobao and smiled sweetly. "My husband is so awesome. I'm going to take a good look at it tonight. I'm going to stay with my mother and make her happy." Zhang Xiaobao's passion died down in an instant. He had just found out what it was like yesterday, and today he was going to, "Xiaobao, Cuckoo will stay with mother tonight. You should have a good sleep. When you have time, you should go and see your siblings. Xiao Bei has been bullying Xiao Yuan recently. Go and ask him what's going on. Xiao Yuan is also giving in to Xiao Bei." Since Zhang Xiaobao couldn't fight for it, Jiang Wang clan spoke. Zhang Xiaobao looked at his wife and then at his mother. He said, "Okay, I will go and see Xiaobei. How can he always bully Xiao Yuan? Cuckoo, you should sleep early." When he walked out of the door and headed towards his younger brother and sister, Xiaobao finally reacted. He stood there and muttered, "Isn't Xiaobei always bullying Xiao Yuan? He's used to it. If he doesn't bully Xiao Yuan one day, Xiao Yuan will probably feel uncomfortable too. He just wants to send me away." In the courtyard, Wang Wan watched Zhang Xiaobao leave. She turned around and said to Zhang Wang clan, "Mother, should I go back and talk to him? What's there to talk about? He is already an adult, but he doesn't know anything. He is staying with mother. Is this a map of Mount Huangshan?" Zhang Wang clan acted like an elder and looked at the paper again. Wang Wan happily picked up the paper and said, "This is the proof from the emperor. Xiao Bao said in the morning, at noon, before he woke up, he said that he would buy Mount Huangshan for me. That's more like it. There are many good things in Mount Huangshan. In the future, don't let others steal it." Zhang Wang clan said with satisfaction. Chapter 896. The next day, the railway began to be fully constructed in front of Tang, which made it very inconvenient for many people to come and go. For a time, rumors started to spread and there were many criticisms. If it was in the past, the construction workers would have already cursed, chased away, or fought. Today, they didn't dare to do so because Xiaohai wanted to watch and collect data. Xiaozhu also wanted to draw today's scene. Such a lively and interesting matter. Naturally, Xiaobei couldn't miss it. She deliberately put on her official robes, afraid that others wouldn't know her identity. Others sat in a carriage, got off, walked, or stood. She rode a bicycle with wide wheels, the kind with 4 wheels, with 2 small wheels at the back to prevent falling. She was afraid that the road would be bad. When she swayed around, all the supervisors of the Ministry of Works trembled. Not to mention hitting those eyesores, they didn't even dare to speak loudly. They could only persuade the people with kind words, saying that this project was an important project for the imperial court and that it would be convenient to use trains in the future. The people didn't know what a train was, whether it looked good or not, so they didn't dare to say anything about the imperial court. Privately, there were many rumors. Some people said that the imperial court wanted to block this road so that they would have to pay when they wanted to use it. Some people said that this thing was built to drive out the people of Chang and then let them live outside because the city couldn't fit them. Because Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan vigorously promoted the Chaoyang action, all the children of the families were able to go to school. The more they learned, the more they knew. The children would tell their parents about the imperial court's laws. Therefore, the originally ignorant people were not as afraid of the imperial court as they were of scourges. When the rumor started, the officials immediately felt that it was troublesome. They were afraid that it would spread to the emperor's ears, and he would punish them for not doing a good job. Just as the officials were thinking of a way to solve this problem, a person from the Ministry of Works saw Xiaobei riding back and forth. He had a bright idea and shouted, "Don't be noisy, listen to me. This railway is specially built for the train between the clouds and the water. Between the clouds and the water needs to be used to transport goods. The imperial court helped to build it, not for the imperial court to use it to facilitate transportation and send off guests in the future." Once this shout was made, the people around the construction site suddenly fell silent. They all looked at the people from the Ministry of Works. Some were confused, and some were in disbelief. Xiaobei slammed on the brakes. Fortunately, it had 4 wheels, otherwise he would have fallen. He pointed at himself and blinked his big eyes. My family?" The people from the Ministry of Works nodded seriously at Xiaobei, then shouted to the others, "This is Xiaobei from the Zhang family. She's here to look after the projects at home." A trace of confusion appeared in Xiaobei's eyes as he nodded. When the surrounding commoners heard that it was between the clouds and the water who was going to do something, their voices immediately disappeared. Then they immediately became louder. None of them were in a hurry to pass by. Instead, they surrounded the construction site and looked at it. Their mouths were full of praises for between the clouds and the water. They looked as if they were waiting for the tracks to be laid quickly. Xiao Yuan ran over from a dozen steps away and pulled Xiao Bei, saying, "Xiao Bei, are you stupid? What does the railway have to do with our family? Your father is a minister in the Ministry of Works. That's official business. The train is not under the banner of between the clouds and the water." Xiao Bei turned his head to look at Xiao Yuan and suddenly laughed. He laughed very happily. "Xiao Yuan, so you're not stupid. I thought you'd become stupid from reading too much. I know. I just wanted to see how important my family is in other people's hearts. Otherwise, I wouldn't have nodded. It looks pretty good." Xiao Yuan's face darkened. He let go of Xiao Bei, lowered his head, and walked back. As he walked, he muttered, "Superfluous move, superfluous move. Official fan, official fan. How can I be so easily used by others?" Xiao Bei tilted his head and thought for a while. Then he rode the bike forward. The person from the Ministry of Works, who had shouted, just now heard the voices of the surrounding people and sighed helplessly. He shook his head and said, "Between the clouds and the water. No one can stop it. It's the first time in history that a business has been done like this." At this time, someone came over. "Brother Zian, this move of yours is really amazing. Why don't you let others shout as well?" "That's exactly what I was thinking," the person replied. While waiting for the method to be passed to another construction site, Xiao Bei happened to ride his bike there. It was very coincidental that he was used by others. At the construction site on the other side, Xiao Hai, the person who collected the data, saw his sister going there. So he took the initiative to walk in the other direction. When others used him, he also nodded to show that he admitted it. After Xiao Yuan saw this for a while and understood, he felt that it was very strange. Xiao Hai, who usually did not speak, was actually so meticulous. They were indeed biological siblings. With an excuse, the construction site sped up. There were even some commoners who helped to carry the sleepers. This scene was seen by people who had just arrived in Chang and from other countries. They were very puzzled. They also knew that between the clouds and the water belonged to the Zhang family and the Wang family. They also knew how powerful and wealthy between the clouds and the water was. However, how could they be compared to the imperial court? After asking people who had been here for a long time, they understood that the commoners were willing to help not because between the clouds and the water was rich, but because between the clouds and the water liked to spend money, especially the free delivery of babies and the free care of babies. In addition, the Chaoyang operation was the initiator and supervisor of these two reasons why the commoners were willing to help. The news quickly spread to Li Longji's ears. "Your Majesty, this matter cannot be delayed," Gao Lisher advised. "I understand. Xiao Bao and the Cuckoo family also do not wish for this to happen. However, we cannot manage both at the same time. The Chaoyang operation is simple. We just need to fork out some money for the children's food, printing of books, clothes, ink, and so on. If we really calculate, it is a big deal. If we throw in millions of strings of coins, it won't make much of a splash. How many children do we have in Tang? How many schools do we need?" Li Longji also knew that this matter had to be solved, but it was not easy. If the schools had not reached this level when they came out, they would have strict requirements for what they ate every day. They had to eat meat, vegetables, and so on. With the current financial situation of the imperial court, they could afford it. However, looking at the current situation, once they took over, they would have to follow the original rules. How much would that cost? Especially Xiao Bao's attitude. Yesterday he had only mentioned that the children should eat potatoes, and Xiao Bao had reacted so strongly. What was wrong with potatoes? Then, Gao Lisher asked. He didn't finish his sentence, but his meaning was clear. Medical treatment. Take over the medical treatment. Send a portion of the money that each county hands in and turn it into medical treatment funds. Let Xiao Bei and the others arrange for people to patrol the area. If anyone dares to make a move, kill them. For the poor areas in the county, we will compensate them. This is a matter of the imperial court. We can't always let them be in charge. Chapter 897. Xiaobao, in the future, we won't allow anyone to enter our house. So what if it's someone sent by Li Longji? He insisted on seeing us in the middle of the night. His attitude is good, but don't he know that he's disturbing us? After waking up in the morning, Wang Wan complained to Zhang Xiaobao before she even washed up. Last night, when the two of them were talking about their private matters, someone barged in from outside. She didn't know who was so free to make a proposal about free medical treatment. Wang Wan was very surprised after reading it. Free medical treatment? That was a matter of good countries. She and Xiaobao didn't realize it at that time. It wasn't that they didn't have the ability, but that they didn't have the heart. It was clearly a place that had the money and could do it, but they couldn't. The local officials couldn't control the hospital at all. If they really wanted to control the hospital, there was only one result, and that was that they would be transferred. The benefits involved in the medical treatment were too much. The people at the top were also powerless. There were also internal strife within a party. It was impossible to change the foundation of society. Therefore, Wang Wan felt that Li Longji's thinking was too simple. The transportation problems involved and the different income from different places couldn't be solved with a simple sentence or idea. In addition, she had rested for a day and night. Yesterday, they could continue to do things as husband and wife. At the crucial moment, they were disturbed. Then, Xiaobao started to perfect the proposal sent by Li Longji. He worked all night and had nothing to do with it. Only then did she complain. "Honey, this can't do. If something big really happens, won't it be delayed? Since we have chosen this path, we have to understand what will happen. I can see that Li Longji wants to be a good emperor now. After the fall imperial examination, we might be transferred to the capital. Won't the 3 northeastern provinces have to be arranged for a satisfactory person? Who will be sent? If outsiders go there, they won't be familiar with the local situation. The local people are familiar with the situation, but don't know what the outside world is like. It's not the 3 northeastern provinces of our time. Now, other than the ethnic minorities, the local people go there from other places. If I don't perfect Li Longji's plan, once he really does it, there will definitely be problems. If I perfect it, he might ask us more often. How about this? We'll torture him a few times and let him understand that it's not good to disturb people at night. He might not disturb us so easily in the future." Zhang Xiaobao was also gritting his teeth. Last night, they were supposed to talk and be intimate with each other. In the end, it was all over. Li Longji's bullsh** tea plan gave him a headache. He didn't know what Li Longji was thinking. Free medical treatment for all? It wasn't that he didn't have the money. It was that he didn't have the manpower and the herbs. Nowadays, most of the diseases were treated with Chinese medicine. The only change was that there was more normal saline and disinfectant to perform simple surgery. Chinese medicine wasn't easy to come out. Some herbs had to be waited for to grow. The number of doctors was also not enough. The real doctors were all trained in Huaiyuan County's Day Medical College. There were only a few graduates every year. Chinese medicine wasn't easy to learn, just like Chinese wasn't easy to understand. It needed to be settled down, so Chinese medicine was easy to decline. What Zhang Xiaobao wanted to do was to change the plan and divide it into various stages. At the same time, he added new plans. For example, how much land each place should have to plant Chinese medicine. The ginseng in the garden couldn't be compared to the 100-year-old ginseng in Changbai Mountain and Korea, but the content was about the same. Once he was busy, he worked from night till dawn. Xiaobao was so angry that he almost choked. Wang Wan took the plan and looked at it. She leaned her head on Zhang Xiaobao's shoulder and said, "I didn't expect you to be so meticulous. You even considered the small problems. What do you think is wrong with Li Longji? Originally, we were in charge of delivering the children and taking care of the babies. Why did he take over? Do you still need to ask me? He's worried that if we take control of this, the imperial court will lose control. As for the details, he can just let someone else ask. Zhang Xiaobao was actually puzzled. In the past, he and Wang Wan were in charge. Li Longji suddenly intervened. This was a little thought-provoking. At this time, Xiao Bei and the 9 children came in wearing beautiful clothes. To be precise, under Xiao Bei's leadership, the other 8 people had to come. Xiao Hai was the elder brother. He usually didn't like to talk, but he silently supported Xiao Bei, his younger sister. Xiaozhu followed Xiao Hai. Xiaozhu also understood that if she married Xiao Hai in the future, she would listen to the adults from the beginning. This had been instilled in her. The 4 of them gradually understood their own identities. They were led by Zhang Xiaobao and the Wang family. Xiao Yuan was used to being bullied. If Xiao Bei didn't bully him one day, he wouldn't be able to live. He always felt that something was missing, and he was very uncomfortable. The 9 people formed such a strange group, which made the Tang officials tremble with fear. When Xiao Bei arrived, Wang Wan immediately moved her head away from Zhang Xiaobao's shoulder. She smiled at Xiao Bei and asked, "What's the matter? You came early in the morning?" Xiao Bei smiled foolishly and jumped into Wang Wan's arms. She looked at her elder brother and said, "Yesterday, we helped the Ministry of Works. They used my family's name to make others work and make way. I was thinking, could you give me a carriage called a children's carriage? Only children can sit in it?" When she said this, the shrewd Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were stunned at the same time. Then, they looked at each other and understood everything. Did someone use the imperial court's name to pave the tracks yesterday, but it didn't go well? Then, they took out our family's name and changed it? Zhang Xiaobao even guessed the general situation. Xiao Bei nodded. "Yes, I even helped, so I can't help for nothing. There has to be a children's carriage. Otherwise, I'll use all my strength to catch people. It's impossible for there to be no mistakes." Zhang Xiaobao's brows furrowed and opened a few times. In the end, he didn't say anything to his younger siblings. They were still young and didn't understand many things. If he told them too much, they wouldn't be able to understand. However, Wang Wan smiled and kissed Xiao Bei. She said, "Our Xiao Bei is still the best. How should we arrange the children's carriage in the future? The same seats as the adults? If the children are too young, who will take care of them? You have to think about it carefully. If the children are young and need the adults to take care of them, then when the adults enter the carriage, will it still be a children's carriage?" Xiao Bei's enthusiasm was extinguished by a large basin of cold water. How could she have thought of so many things? She turned her head and looked at Xiao Yuan in confusion. She lowered her head and answered, "I haven't thought about it yet. I'll go think about it now." "Then go quickly. Remember to think carefully. Otherwise, there won't be a carriage." When Wang Wan saw Xiao Bei's undisguised expression, she liked her immensely. So annoying. Children are all insensible. If they don't want to think about us adults, I'll go and discuss it. Xiao Bei slid down from Wang Wan's arms and ran off with Xiao Yuan. The others naturally followed. Before Xiao Hai left, he turned his head and gave his brother and sister a helpless expression. Seeing his younger brother and sister walk far away, Zhang Xiaobao finally could not help but laugh. "Sometimes I really don't know if I like them because of my responsibility or because they are cute. It's very contradictory. You just don't act like an older brother." I saw Xiao Hai's notes the day before yesterday. Do you know what he was doing? He was actually calculating the ratio of production and investment. Don't look at how young he is. He actually wants to take responsibility. The responsibility of being Xiao Bei, Xiao Yuan, and Xiaozhu's older brother is all because of your influence. Wang Wan stuck her head out and looked at her younger brother and sister walking further and further away. She sighed. Yes, sometimes silence does not mean ignorance. Xiao Hai is under a lot of pressure. He wants to imitate us, but he doesn't know that the things we experience are actually the most obedient and sensible children. It just depends on whether the adults know how to educate them. Let's go. Let's tidy up, eat, and walk around the streets. I finally know why Li Longji wants the imperial court to be in charge of medical treatment. If I'm not wrong, he also wants to take over education. It's just that the imperial court's finances are unable to support it. The day before yesterday, he actually said that potatoes are good. He wants the children to eat potatoes, and they can be used as both a meal and a dish. I didn't agree. If I really agreed, you wouldn't have met me in the first place. Why would I bother to go back? When I was young, I was already sick of eating potatoes. Eating too much of that stuff will suppress the stomach and make me vomit acid. Zhang Xiaobao closed the proposal and stood up, stretching his back as he spoke. Wang Wan hugged Zhang Xiaobao's waist. Yes, I will listen to my husband. My husband is the sky. I really don't know how this world gave birth to such a freak like you. You understand everything, but you still don't change your temper. Your thoughts are hard to guess. Asterisk, 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 asterisk in summer. Chang was supposed to be stuffy and hot. The sun was scorching, making people feel uncomfortable. However, Chang was slightly different today. It was still stuffy, but there was not much sunlight. It was all shady and cool. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan put on makeup and walked hand in hand on the streets of Chang'an. Looking at the young couples holding hands, they couldn't tell what they were feeling. It wasn't like this in the past. Who would hold hands for no reason? Especially in the past 2 days, there were too many couples. The two of them didn't need to ask to know the reason. Wang Wan looked at Zhang Xiaobao sweetly. Xiaobao, it's all your fault. You had to give out so many things. Look, you've stimulated others. They all like to hold hands. When we were young, I shouldn't have let you hold hands all the time. Many people are now together because of us. Shouldn't you be responsible? Who should I be responsible for? You or them? Zhang Xiaobao squeezed Wang Wan's hand and asked. You should be responsible for yourself. It's been sunny for the past 2 days. Let's see what you'll do when it rains. Wang Wan struggled slightly, but couldn't break free from Zhang Xiaobao's hand. She looked at the sky and said. Zhang Xiaobao was about to continue speaking when he suddenly looked ahead. After looking carefully for a while, he said to Wang Wan, Takeshita, Junichiro, what's in his arms? Why is he so alert? I'll go get it. You'll get it? How? Wang Wan also saw it at this time. Chapter 898. As he spoke, Zhang Xiaobao went into a nearby shop that sold dry goods. Wang Wan stood at the door in a daze for a while. Zhang Xiaobao came out again. He had changed into a slightly oversized shop assistant's clothes, and there was an extra load on his shoulder. In the front of the load were jujubes, and behind it were walnuts. His shoes were also a size bigger. Wang Wan didn't know how Zhang Xiaobao rubbed his face, but it was darker than before, and there were wrinkles on it. Miss Megway, do you want to buy jujubes? Don't look at the jujubes from last year. They're sweet. It's good to eat them directly. It's also good to steam them with water. Zhang Xiaobao followed the undulation of the load and walked step by step to Wang Wan's side. His voice had changed, and he felt that he had aged more than 10 years. It wasn't like before, when he could still speak with a little childish voice. Wang Wan looked at Zhang Xiaobao in surprise and shook her head reflexively. Forget it if you don't want to buy it. Selling jujubes, sweet jujubes, walnuts, walnuts with thin skin and fragrant walnuts. Zhang Xiaobao no longer talked to Wang Wan. He shouted and quickly chased after Takeshita Junichiro, who had walked a distance away. Wang Wan moved to the side of the road and followed behind Zhang Xiaobao. She was more than 10 steps behind him, and she lowered her head and walked forward. She couldn't let Takeshita Junichiro recognize her. Occasionally, she would look at Zhang Xiaobao's slightly hunchback figure and the steady way he walked. It was as if she had discovered a new continent. She muttered to herself, when did he learn how to walk like this? I actually didn't notice it after being together for so long. Zhang Xiaobao didn't think about what Wang Wan was thinking. He quickened his pace and caught up with Takeshita Junichiro while shouting. When he reached behind him, he wasn't in a hurry to rush forward. Instead, he followed behind and shouted from time to time. His voice was sometimes loud and sometimes soft, giving people the feeling that it was sometimes far and sometimes close. After walking for a while, a carriage came in front of them. It wasn't fast, and it was convertible. This kind of carriage was popular nowadays. It didn't have a complete hood, and it was supported by a translucent gauze to block the sun. At this time, there were 3 people, 1 big and 2 small, sitting in the carriage. The coachman coiled the whip around his neck, looking very relaxed. The carriage approached bit by bit, but it couldn't touch Takeshita Junichiro directly. Zhang Xiaobao quickened his pace and came to the right side of Takeshita Junichiro. He was still shouting, "Jujubes, sweet jujubes." Then, as if he had just seen the carriage, he hurriedly rushed from the right side of Takeshita Junichiro to the left. As he walked, he shouted at the carriage, "Walnuts, selling walnuts, thin walnuts. Buy a few pounds of walnuts for the child." When others saw this, they would think that the person selling walnuts and dried dates wanted to buy from the people in the carriage. So they didn't think much of it. However, Takeshita Junichiro felt different. Zhang Xiaobao was in the position in front of him, so the walnut basket behind him inevitably hit him. It was too late for him to stop, so he knocked the basket askew. With the basket askew, Zhang Xiaobao had no choice but to move sideways in order to not drop the carrying pole. When he moved, he happened to hit Takeshita Junichiro. Now, the basket in front of him was askew as well. In a short moment, what others saw was that the person selling walnuts and dates adjusted his body at the fastest speed. His reaction was good, but a lot of dates and walnuts still fell out and rolled on the ground. My dates and walnuts. I'm sorry. Zhang Xiaobao cried out with heartache. The carrying pole was still on his shoulders. He wanted to pick up the dates and walnuts, but he felt that it was inappropriate. He helped Takeshita Junichiro adjust his clothes and apologized repeatedly. Takeshita Junichiro frowned and took 2 steps back. He sighed, "How do you walk? Do you only think about making money? Forget it. After saying this, Takeshita Junichiro left. Zhang Xiaobao didn't have time to promote to the people on the bus. He put down the pole and picked up the walnuts and dates one by one. His hands moved very quickly. It was obvious that he often came into contact with the things he was selling. He put the walnuts he picked up back and kept the dates on his body. He couldn't continue to sell them. Otherwise, who would buy dates that were stained with mud? Wang Wan stood 10 steps behind and didn't go forward. She looked at the distant Takeshita Junichiro, and then looked at Zhang Xiaobao, who was still skillfully picking the dates. She shook her head. "No wonder so many people couldn't catch you. You can even adjust the pupils of your eyes and the corners of your eyes. If I give you more time to disguise yourself, I won't be able to recognize you." At this time, a kind-hearted person came to help him pick up the walnuts. Xiaobao thanked him profusely, and when he was done, he gave the person a handful of walnuts no matter what. When the person accepted, he turned around and continued to peddle his wares as he walked toward the store he just came out of. When Zhang Xiaobao came out again, Wang Wan quickly approached and asked, "What did you feel?" "Feel? I felt there was a lot of money inside. Judging by the size of the hand, they were all 1,000 strings. According to the thickness, there should be about 121 to 123 strings. There was also an envelope. Here, it's this." Zhang Xiaobao replied to Wang Wan's words. He took out an envelope from his arms and handed it to Wang Wan. Wang Wan opened her mouth in surprise. She didn't take the envelope. Instead, she pointed at Zhang Xiaobao. "You just took the things out of his body? And you know how much money is inside? Isn't this the legendary empty-handed hand? That won't do. If I don't practice, I'll be rusty and the opportunity won't be good either. If there's a commotion and he's watching, I won't have to bring the envelope over. I'll read what's written inside and return it to him. But if I just cut the envelope and only took the letter, he'll definitely know that it was stolen. Now, he'll suspect that he forgot to take it or dropped it somewhere." Zhang Xiaobao shook his head regretfully. His hand passed over the edge of the envelope, and the envelope was neatly separated. Looking at the marks, it was obvious that it was cut by a sharp knife. Wang Wan still didn't touch the envelope. Instead, She grabbed Zhang Xiaobao's hand that had just cut the envelope. She opened his fingers and looked carefully. Then she looked up and asked doubtfully, "Where's the knife?" "I put away." "How can a knife be seen casually?" "Don't look for it. It's in my sleeve. I'll show you the knife elsewhere." "Ah." Zhang Xiaobao stopped Wang Wan's actions. He opened his mouth, and his tongue moved inside. Two thin blades appeared beside his mouth. One was narrow and long, and the other was wide and short. Looking at the blades, Wang Wan nodded blankly. "When did you learn this?" "I learned it a long time ago, but I only stole from ordinary people twice. At that time, I was short of money and hungry, so I stole some to buy food. At that time, I found several masters, but it wasn't easy to practice. My hands and mouth were cut countless times. I can use my toes to play a few tricks. If you want to learn, I'll teach you." Zhang Xiaobao's tongue moved and the blades disappeared. It didn't affect his speech at all. Chapter 899. Zhang Xiaobao did not respond to Wang Wan's words. Instead, he took out the letter and read it. The words were written in the Tang language and not the Japanese language. If it was written, Zhang Xiaobao would not be able to understand it. Although he knew many languages, he could not really write them. Nowadays, when the Japanese spoke quickly, he could not even hear them clearly. Wang Wan was better than him, but she still could not write the current Japanese language. Furthermore, it was difficult for people outside the Tang to understand. This was also because the two of them had a good foundation. Together, they could cover half of the world's official language. If it were an ordinary person, they would be at a loss when they came. Seeing Zhang Xiaobao reading the letter, Wang Wan also came over and read it line by line. After reading it, she said, "It's nothing. It's just asking him to get in touch with the officials of the Ministry of Works and the Ministry of Rights and think of a way to rent our steam engine ships and gunships. It's very normal. It's abnormal because it's normal. Doesn't he know the benefits of those two ships? Why is there a need to emphasize it again? Furthermore, it's a message from someone else. What does this mean? Your superior is telling you the same thing twice. Don't you have to think about it carefully?" Zhang Xiaobao took the letter back and looked in the direction Takeshita Junichiro left in. In the end, he did not chase after him and returned the letter. Wang Wan pulled Zhang Xiaobao along and continued shopping. As they walked, she said, "What else could it be? They want to secretly learn the technology and slowly develop it. When they have the strength, they will attack us. It's very normal. A nation that doesn't know how to learn has long disappeared. For a small place like Japan to not have been colonized before, it's really admirable." After hearing Wang Wan's words, Zhang Xiaobao thought about it and nodded. "Indeed, I also admire them. However, that doesn't mean that I won't deal with them. They can really endure. Just like now, in order to survive, they can throw away their dignity and character. They feel like wolves. Speaking of Japan, I can't help but think of Taiwan. I wonder if the natural scenery there is the same as ours. For example, the Sun Moon Lake and the Jade Mountain Clouds. We can develop them together and have the people of the Great Tang take a stroll. And the resources there are quite good, especially the aquatic resources. Yeah, I haven't been there in a long time. Do you really want to go? Then we should bring more gifts and let the local leaders or chiefs accept us wholeheartedly. Then we can slowly teach them how to read." Wang Wan also wanted to see what Taiwan was like now. She heard that some people went there to do business. In fact, they were exchanging things and taking advantage of others. Who asked the people there to be so bad? If they sent a porcelain jar or something, they could exchange it for a lot of pearls or mountain treasures. The locals had a hard time. Of course, this was in the eyes of outsiders. Perhaps the locals felt that it was not bad. People who had never seen a plane would never envy people who flew thousands of miles. As the two of them walked, they saw a shop selling clothes nearby. They followed the road and walked in. There were very few clothes on display. Most of them were bolts of cloth. If someone wanted to sell them, they could make a lot of them on the spot. Zhang Xiaobao absent-mindedly reached out and pinched the corner of a bolt of cloth. He turned his head and said to Wang Wan, "It's not bad to open a ready-made clothes shop there. The locals should like it, especially the canvas. It's durable and sturdy. It's not as strong as the local hemp or tree leaves. Then we can make money." Wang Wan first waved her hand at the shop assistant who wanted to come over and greet them, indicating that they did not need to care. Then she thought about Zhang Xiaobao's words and said, "You want to use canvas to exchange for local things? There are fewer metal mines there. Don't tell me you want to cut down all the trees there. Otherwise, what are you going to exchange for? Whose money are you going to earn?" "What trees? I plan to build a few ports there in the future, as well as the buildings around the ports. I plan to keep the place in its original state. Who said that you have to exchange goods with them if you give them something? It can also be labor. Just like the ethnic minority areas in the future, there will be special programs to provide entertainment for others, and then make money and professionalize. The locals there can also do it. Let the tourists experience a different kind of ethnic customs, eat some local food, and enjoy the local scenery. If conditions permit, let the locals accompany them to hunt." Zhang Xiaobao's eyes were fixed on a certain place. In fact, he did not see what that place was at all. He was just distracted. While he was telling Wang Wan his ideas, he raised his other hand and gently tapped his face. Wang Wan was moved by Zhang Xiaobao's words. Just as she was about to support him, she suddenly remembered Zhang Xiaobao's thieving skills. In an instant, Zhang Xiaobao's image of an international swindler overlapped with that of Zhang Xiaobao's image. "Hubby." Wang Wan's voice changed. It was gentle and sweet, and Zhang Xiaobao trembled when he heard it. His distracted eyes regained focus, and he looked at Wang Wan in astonishment. "Hubby, tell me, did you cheat the officials like this back then? You made it sound like it was real." Wang Wan whispered into Zhang Xiaobao's ears. "Ah." Zhang Xiaobao dodged to the side and whispered, "Are you accusing me? I won't admit it. You don't have any evidence now." "TSK, do I need evidence to arrest you? It's easy to get evidence. First, we need to arrest you. After we use a few drugs, you will naturally confess everything. What you said to me. Are you also going to tell Li Longji?" Wang Wan leaned closer to Zhang Xiaobao and threatened, "How do you know that I am going to look for Li Longji?" Zhang Xiaobao was a little afraid. It was not comfortable to be understood by others. "I'm your wife. You were absent-minded and flicked my face. Who are you scheming against? You can't be scheming against those natives in Taiwan, right? They are not worth your effort. So, it's naturally Li Longji. What do you want to exchange with him?" Wang Wan was about to push Zhang Xiaobao against the wall, and she was still unwilling to let go. "Is Li Longji worth my effort? Then you are really looking down on me. I just remembered that Taiwan had been colonized by many countries. Every colonization was done with military force. I was thinking that it is time for us to talk about it." Zhang Xiaobao looked at Wang Wan's pretty face and really wanted to give her a kiss, but the shop assistant was looking at him with vigilant eyes. No matter how thick-skinned Zhang Xiaobao was, he was too embarrassed to do so. "You want to colonize Taiwan? Why would I want to colonize it? It is so close. When the time comes, there will naturally be people going there. There is no need for me to push it. You will know when I carry out the plan. Let's go into the palace and chat with Li Longji." As Zhang Xiaobao spoke, he pulled Wang Wan's hand and walked out. When he passed by the shop assistant, he asked, "Do you have pearl muslin?" "No, we can't get that kind of thing." "Why don't we look at Suzhou's muslin?" The shop assistant shook his head and replied, "I don't want to look. I wanted to buy some pearl muslin. Let's go to the next shop." Zhang Xiaobao said regretfully and walked out with Wang Wan. The shop assistant behind them showed a look of disdain and muttered, "If you don't have money, just say so. Pearl muslin? Do you think you can afford it? You want to save face." When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan found Li Longji in Xingqing Palace, Li Longji was looking at a map with Wu Huifei and Empress Wang. To be precise, he was looking at a sand table that included all the places in the country. He pointed and talked as if everything was under his control. Empress Wang and Wu Huifei were full of admiration and echoed from time to time, which made Li Longji even more excited. Perhaps he deliberately said it to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who had just arrived. Li Longji did not turn to look at them. Instead, he pointed at the sand table and said to Wu Huifei and Empress Wang, "Here, Lessa City, is already the territory of the Tang Empire. It is connected to Longyu Road, which is connected to the original Turkic lands. Here, the northern part of Hebei Road, and an island in the sea, all belong to the Tang Empire now. However, if you continue to go west and north, it will be related to the Tang Empire. When will it be unified?" With a stroke of his hand, Li Longji marked out the territory of the Tang Empire. He straightened his back and said that it was the territory of the Tang Empire. When he talked about the places that had not been included in the territory, there was a hint of regret between his eyebrows. Empress Wang and Wu Huifei were not stupid. They knew that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were here. Just now, the emperor was talking about the local customs and customs of each place. Now, he changed the topic to the size of the territory. Obviously, he was talking about the territory for Zhang Xiaobao and Wu Huifei. Empress Wang spoke first. "Your Majesty wants to expand the territory, but you have to wait for the place to be stable first. The Longyu Road is different from the original Tubo Turks. The regional governor there is not very good at managing the local people. There is a trend of monopolization. Shouldn't you wait until the place is stable first?" Wu Huifei said another thing. "Sister is right. However, didn't the Longyu Road give Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family a piece of land? Especially that lake. I think that it won't be long before your Majesty is relieved. It is precisely because of this that we should take this opportunity to continue fighting for territory. In one spurt of energy, the second decline, and the third decline." When Zhang Xiaobao saw this, he pulled Wang Wan and walked outside. Both the west and north sides were not easy to fight. How could they adapt to the climate just like that? "Xiao, Bao, Cuckoo, when did the two of you arrive? How could we not know? Where are you going?" Before Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had taken 5 steps, Li Longji's voice sounded. Zhang Xiaobao stopped, turned around, and said to Li Longji, "This subject listened to your Majesty's thoughts just now and is willing to share your Majesty's worries. We are going to prepare provisions, cross the vast snowy mountains, and step onto the snowy plains. We are going to spread your Majesty's grace to the locals. Your Majesty can issue an edict to recruit Tang men between the ages of 15 and 50 to form an army. This subject estimates that we will be able to fulfill your Majesty's long-cherished wish by sacrificing 2/3 of our men." There is no need for that. We are in no hurry, no hurry. It is best to defend ourselves first. Xiaobao, why have the two of you come?" When Li Longji heard that 2/3 of his men would die, he immediately changed his words. "It's nothing major. This subject wishes to occupy several islands in the southeast. I don't want your Majesty to not have such ambitions. It is best to think about the northwest." Chapter 900. Zhang Xiaobao seemed relaxed, but Li Longji was not. The so-called islands included Xinluo and Japan. From the moment these two places were discovered, there was not a single emperor who did not want to conquer them. However, even if they fought, they had defeated Xinluo and Japan. In the end, they were unable to send people to occupy them. This was especially true of Nippon. They could only threaten and intimidate when they were strong, but they could not rule. If it were anyone else, Li Longji would have slapped them in the face and said that they were just making fun of him. However, when these words came out of Zhang Xiaobao's mouth, it was a different matter. "Xiaobao, there's no hurry. The northwest is remote and cold. Let's talk about the southeast first. Do you want to let Cuckoo lead the army and attack it?" Li Longji knew that once the two countries were settled, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan would no longer have to worry about the northern part of Hebei province. They would enter the capital and be placed in the most worrying place. Unfortunately, the great Tang only had these two people. He could trust them. He did not have to worry about not being able to govern the place well, and he did not have to worry about being attacked by the tribes and countries on the other side of the border. He believed that if these two were sent to Longyu province, the people there would immediately be stable, and the man-eaters would not be able to continue their plans. Therefore, Li Longji wanted the southeast coast to be stabilized quickly so that he could have less worries. He stared at Zhang Xiaobao, waiting for Zhang Xiaobao to come up with a feasible plan. Zhang Xiaobao shook his head vigorously. "Your Majesty, it's still too early. This subject is just saying. If Silla wants to quickly take back Great Tang, we can let Cuckoo fight. At that time, they will have no national strength, and they will definitely be willing to submit to us. As for Nippon, to tell the truth, if they did not still have evil intentions, I would not be willing to touch them. The terrain there was complicated, and the people there were valiant and courageous. Even the 10,000 cavalry battalion would not be able to do anything there, let alone an ordinary army. That was unless I mobilized a large number of Lu Zhou's wolf soldiers. They were both short and fit for mountainous terrain. They liked to jump and attack when they attacked. They were also skilled in the water and were fearless of death. I'll equip them with better weapons, so they definitely won't have a problem one-on-one. But right now, we haven't reached the point where we can decide life and death in a single battle. Let's take it slow. First, we'll weaken their will, then cut off their courage. 3 years, give me 3 years, and I'll be able to make them obedient." As he spoke, Zhang Xiaobao glanced at Wu Huifei. His meaning was obvious. Would anyone leak the secret? Li Longji hurriedly added, "All right, that's exactly what I want. This matter will definitely not be leaked." Wu Huifei nodded as well. It was not that she did not want to leak the secret, but she was afraid that Zhang Xiaobao would deliberately say it and set a trap for her. When facing Zhang Xiaobao, she knew that anything could happen. She must not take his words seriously. "Then if there's nothing else, I'll take my leave first." "Oh, Your Majesty, I suddenly remembered something. There are many merchants coming to Liuqiu Island from the east of Jiangnan. I'd like to ask for an edict so that I can confer titles on the island." After Zhang Xiaobao finished talking about the matter in Japan, he was about to leave. However, before he turned around, he seemed to have suddenly thought of something and casually mentioned it. Li Longji had long been used to Zhang Xiaobao's way of speaking. He knew that Zhang Xiaobao would never say anything useless. When he heard Zhang Xiaobao mention Liuqiu, he thought that the island was not under the jurisdiction of the Great Tang. The Great Tang was unable to send officials to the island. If Zhang Xiaobao could help, it would be a good idea. Thus, he nodded. "I'll send someone to deliver it to you at night. Remember, don't put yourself in danger. If there is income, use it to build roads in the east of Jiangnan." Li Longji did not believe that Zhang Xiaobao would only invest money without any income. He wanted to collect taxes, but he had earned money on the island. It was not easy to find an excuse. In the end, he could only symbolically say one sentence. "Your Majesty, please rest assured. As long as there is income, I will definitely take out a portion to build roads in the east of Jiangnan. I will build roads and houses." Zhang Xiaobao agreed. Then he turned around and followed Wang Wan back. Li Longji stood where he was. He could not figure out what Zhang Xiaobao wanted to do. He turned to Gao Lishir and asked, "Lishir, haven't Xiaobao and Cuckoo been using the name of the Great Tang to do things? Why are they asking for power now?" "I don't know. I think it might be useful." Gao Lishir was also puzzled. Back then, they had agreed that Zhang Xiaobao and the Wang family could use the name of the Great Tang to do things outside of the Great Tang. For example, they could give someone an official or conduct a friendly interview. When the time came, the Great Tang would acknowledge everything. Li Longji's head hurt from thinking, but he still could not figure it out. He turned around and said to Empress Wang and Wu Huifei, "I'll tell you about the coastal area in the southeast of the Great Tang. Within 3 years, this place will all be part of the Great Tang's territory." After leaving, Wang Wan pulled Zhang Xiaobao and asked, "You promised Li Longji to build roads and houses. Can you really earn money on Taiwan?" When the time comes and you say that you didn't earn anything, do you think anyone will believe you? You are Zhang Xiaobao. How can I not earn money? The money I earned is not the money of the people on the island, but the money of the great Tang people who came later. I'm a man of my word. I won't keep a single cent. I'll invest as much as I earn into the Jiangnan East Road. Zhang Xiaobao looked like a man of his word, treating money like dirt. Really? For free? Wang Wan asked again. I'll take everything. First, I have to build a dike in Hangzhou. There isn't one now. After that, I have to build roads so that it's convenient for people to go there. After that, I have to build houses, hotels, restaurants, and so on. I'll do good for the people and give tourists a place to go. Zhang Xiaobao continued. Wang Wan understood now. Zhang Xiaobao was using the money he earned on the island to build West Lake in Hangzhou. West Lake was the lake that he had gifted to her. It had nothing to do with doing good for the people. He was just transferring money from his left hand to his right hand. At least he had fulfilled his promise to Li Longji. You're not willing to lose out at all. Even if it's just a little bit of money, you still have to calculate with Li Longji, Wang Wan said helplessly. How is this calculating? I did invest in the Jiangnan East Road, and I did use this money to build West Lake. How can I not pay the taxes to West Lake to Li Longji? There's no difference. There's no difference at all. Zhang Xiaobao appeared to be very innocent. There's a big difference. If you invest the money in West Lake, you will incur various taxes when you invest it. But if you invest the money in the island, you don't have to pay taxes there. You don't have to pay taxes there, and the people who work there don't have to pay taxes there. When West Lake is built, you will be earning money from both sides. Furthermore, the money you earned on the island is used to build West Lake in the name of charity. This will also reduce the taxes. Don't think that I don't know about this. Let me think about it. It's definitely not that simple. Oh, I understand now. When the time comes, you will immediately use the island's name to set up a tour group. Even if you don't go to the island now, you still have such a project. Because the island doesn't belong to Tang Dynasty, you can lower the price of the tourists and increase the amount of money you spend on the island. Or you can lower the price of the tourists and increase the amount of money you spend on the island. This way, you will have to pay less taxes for the projects you are supposed to pay, and your actual income will be listed on the tax-free island. Do you know what kind of behavior is this? Wang Wan continued thinking and finally found the problem. Zhang Xiaobao is trying to find a loophole to evade taxes. Oh, it's called reasonable tax avoidance. Li Longji doesn't know what's going on, and he still foolishly agreed to it. What behavior? I haven't done anything yet. You are the only one thinking about it. Why would I do such a thing? If I really want to avoid taxes, I just need to use the product around MTTI as our own brand and get MTTI to issue a certificate. The cost of the products around MTTI will increase, and the taxes will decrease. How much do you think I can reduce by doing this? During the off-season, I will ask our logistics company to help transport the goods and then find a reason to increase the price of the goods. I will use the tourism company to transfer money to the logistics company. How much do you think I can reduce by? Zhang Xiaobao said one by one. Wang Wan kept nodding and finally said, yes, there are many ways. If you really want to do it, I can do it without you. What are you trying to do? Do you know you misunderstood me? Zhang Xiaobao asked. Wang Wan nodded embarrassedly. Do you know I'm not doing it for money? Zhang Xiaobao asked again. Wang Wan lowered her head even more. Do you know what it means to have the heart of a villain? Who are you calling a villain? You said it clearly. This time, before Zhang Xiaobao could finish, Wang Wan, who had already raised her head, couldn't take it anymore. I said to have the heart of a villain, to do the work of an adult. A villain is a villain. What did I say just now? Oh, yes, you asked me what I want to do, so I'll say it now. I want others to see this and help us solve some problems. We can't do everything ourselves. Come on, let's go home. I'll tell you the story of the big bad wolf and the little white rabbit. Zhang Xiaobao smiled very gently. As he explained, he pulled Wang Wan and walked faster. You're the only one who can say that. You're the little white rabbit. Yes, I'm the little white rabbit. You're the big bad wolf. It's all the same. Chapter 901. Shuai-yun and Hong-wan having a baby was a big deal for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. It was no less important than a pregnant woman giving birth to a baby. The smart Shuai-yun didn't look for a cliff or stay in Jili province. Instead, it brought its wife, Hong-wan, to the capital city of Chang, and to ask for help from its master. Moreover, it decided on Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. It didn't know how it figured it out, but it knew that in this house, two people's words were the most effective. When Zhang Xiaobao and Zhang Ying were discussing what kind of house to build, it flew to the eaves in front of them, watching and listening. Zhang Xiaobao looked up at Shuai-yun. He didn't care about how it flew over the cloth curtain. He believed that Shuai-yun, who could cooperate with people, had the ability to shuttle at low altitude. What he needed to consider now was what kind of house to build for Shuai-yun and Hong-wan and how high it should be. Where should we choose? The East Market and the West Market can't do. It's too noisy. Xingqing Palace? Then Lilongji will have to go there. Hibiscus Garden? There are songs and music. This kind of music doesn't seem to be suitable for prenatal education, right? Zhang Xiaobao grumbled, but he still couldn't make up his mind. Not only were Zhang Ying and Wang Wan anxious, even Shuai-yun on the eaves was impatient. She called out twice, as if urging him to make a decision. I know you love your wife, just like me. Don't worry. Even if the East Market and the West Market stop, I'll build a good house for you. At most, I'll pay to move one of the East Market and the West Market. We have money. For the sake of your baby, I'll go all out. I don't believe that I can't build a decent house. Zhang Xiaobao said to Shuai-yun boldly. Surprisingly, Shuai-yun nodded, which made Zhang Xiaobao open his mouth in surprise. Okay, with your nod, even if you take your wife to Hanyuan Palace to lay eggs, I'll help you ruin the morning court. Don't talk nonsense. Do you think you're human? You want to go to Hanyuan Palace Hall? Aren't you afraid that Shuai-yun's family will be cooked and eaten? Wang Wan glanced at Zhang Xiaobao. What's wrong with going to Hanyuan Palace Hall? Do you know how many contributions Shuai-yun has made? It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he's the #1 eagle of the Great Tang. Let's go to the artificial lake and build a 10-zhang tall house. When the little eagles learn to fly, we can lay a cushion in the lake or arrange for people to rescue them. Our little eagles are a little stupid at first, so we don't have to worry about that. We can try again and again, and eventually they will learn to fly. It's settled then. As Zhang Xiaobao spoke, he suddenly thought of a good place, the artificial saltwater lake that he had prepared for Lilongji. Thinking that it was a good idea, he waved his hand at Shuai-yun, who was waiting for him. Let's go. Work on the artificial lake. You go and scout ahead. With a confused look in her eyes, Shuai-yun flapped her wings and prepared to land on Zhang Xiaobao. Wait! Zhang Xiaobao shouted. He took the leather cushion from Zhang Xiaobao's body and put it on his shoulder. He snapped his fingers and waved his hand again. Come up. Kill the chicken. Don't mock the Japanese. What nonsense are you talking about? Wang Wan smiled and patted Zhang Xiaobao twice. Shuai-yun didn't care about anything else. She spread her wings and made a short hover in the air before landing on Zhang Xiaobao's shoulder. She tilted her head and looked away from Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't have time to rest. They galloped straight for the lake. In the distance behind them, there was a group of people with various tools. Such a trip naturally couldn't be hidden from the spies who had been paying attention to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Therefore, those who heard the news were curious, and there were many who went to investigate. There were even businessmen who thought that Zhang Xiaobao had thought of something to make money again. After asking, they hurriedly chased after him, wanting to get involved. Even Takeshita Junichiro, who had lost something, didn't have time to continue looking for the letter that he didn't know where it was. He casually packed up and also headed in the direction that Zhang Xiaobao and the others might have gone. The person who paid the most attention to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan was naturally Li Longji. When he heard the news, he didn't think that the two were bored enough to ride horses on the street. He directly ordered people to inquire about the reason. When he found out that Xue Yun, who had made great contributions on the battlefield in Tubo, and the equally rare Big Red Eagle, were raising children, Li Longji couldn't sit still anymore. I have heard that Xue Yun is a sentient creature. Since it chose the red one, I think that the red one wouldn't be too bad. The eagle-born of the two wouldn't be any weaker than Xue Yun. Strong men draft an imperial decree. Xue Yun has made great contributions, but it doesn't deserve any rewards. It is to my liking. Therefore, I confer Xue Yun the title of Sky Blue General of our dynasty. Li Longji thought about it and then instructed Gao Lisher. Your Majesty, our dynasty has a Sky Blue General? Gao Lisher had never heard of this name and asked in surprise. Isn't that Xue Yun? Oh, there's also the Red One. Confer a title of 5th rank noble lady. Bestow 100 live lambs. Bestow 100 calves. Bestow them on farmland. Bestow 20 deer and 1,000 chickens to feed the chicks. In order to have a chance to get 2 chicks, Li Longji casually gave an official title of none. He didn't care whether Xue Yun could wear the silver fish pouch or not. When Gao Lisher heard this absurd conferment, he didn't know how to respond. He hesitated for a long time until Li Longji was a little impatient. Only then did he say, Your Majesty, I'm afraid that some officials won't accept such a conferment. Xue Yun is a beast. It won't be good if the officials object. What's wrong with a beast? A beast can look down on a flock of eagles in the sky of Tubo. A beast can discover the enemy first. A beast can transmit information back and forth accurately. A beast is also loyal and devoted. In my opinion, this kind of beast is better than many people. It's strange. Why do all the good things go to their home? I've already made up my mind. If there's anyone who isn't convinced, fly to the Snow Mountain for me to take a look. Go. Send soldiers to take turns guarding Xue Yun and the Red Wan's nests. Don't allow others to approach, and don't allow anyone to bring crossbows over. Li Longji was very fond of Xue Yun. If it weren't for the fact that it belonged to the Zhang family and the Wang family, and that this kind of eagle had its own pride, he would have used all kinds of methods to get it to play with. Now that he had a chance to get its children, if he didn't act now, it would be too late to regret it in the future. Gao Lisher thought about Xue Yun's contributions, and then considered the fact that it was his godson's. In the end, he agreed. Yes, this subject will arrange it right away. However, this subject has heard that there won't be many left in a nest of eagles. This subject is afraid that Xiao Bao won't allow it. Ask Xiao Bao about this. Others may not have a solution, but Xiao Bao will definitely be able to come up with an idea. I don't believe that he won't make any arrangements. Li Longji cleverly pushed a problem to Zhang Xiaobao. When Zhang Xiaobao arrived at the lakeside and began to ask people to set up the framework, the people who were paying attention to him finally figured out what he was going to do. Some people left in disappointment, while others were calculating whether they could get an eagle to hunt. The members of the imperial clan who hadn't found a chance to sabotage also sent letters one after another, wanting to gather together to discuss whether they should kill Xue Yun and the Red Wan to deal a blow to Zhang Xiaobao. However, before they could finish transmitting the news, an imperial edict from the palace shocked them. A feathered beast was actually conferred the title of a 5th-rank general, and the Red Wan was conferred the title of a noble lady. Could it be that killing an eagle was the same crime as killing an official? Look, Xue Yun, look, I've conferred you the title of an official. You and the Red Wan have to work hard and give birth to 180 children. I'll help you raise them. Isn't that a good idea? Zhang Xiaobao took the imperial edict sent by Li Longji and told Xue Yun. According to tradition, Li Longji wasn't given an official's robe, nor was he given a silver fish pouch. However, sheep and deer could be given one. At this time, the framework built for Xue Yun and the Red Wan was already 5 zhang tall. Zhang Xiaobao gestured and asked. Shueyan didn't know what an official was, but she understood what Zhang Xiaobao meant by the height problem. She tilted her head to take a look, then turned her head away and didn't look anymore. Zhang Xiaobao was good at psychology, but he couldn't guess what Shueyan was thinking. After pondering for a while, he tentatively asked, Short? Yes, it's a little short, and it's easy for people to touch it. Let's make it taller. Add another 2 zhang. Don't move the wood anymore. It's too thin. After Zhang Xiaobao finished talking to Shueyan, he continued to order the construction workers to work. The wood was put up one by one, and carts of wood were transported. Because the height was too high, they built it in the shape of a pyramid. At this time, the hot air balloon in the sky came in handy. Soon, the height of 5 zhang became 7 zhang. Wang Wan rushed to ask Shueyan, Look, is it enough now? Shueyan looked again and still turned her head. Continue to build it higher. In order for the baby eagle to be born smoothly, Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao didn't care about this little bit of wood. Young Master Zhang, congratulations, congratulations. The eagle in our family is going to have an heir. Because Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't ask anyone to stop others from coming over, they were relatively lax at the scene. A person dressed like a businessman came up to congratulate them. The so-called businessman's outfit was that there was an extra pocket on the chest area of the clothes, which was used to put fountain pens. Because there was no plastic, it was very troublesome to make. So the fountain pens were very expensive. Usually, Xiao Bei and the others would bring them for temporary writing and drawing when the pencil was broken and hard to sharpen. No one knew who saw it first, but they insisted on buying it from Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Regardless of whether they knew how to use it or not, having a fountain pen was a symbol of status. It was said to be used for bookkeeping, so it became a professional outfit for businessmen. Zhang Xiaobao was indeed looking forward to it. Seeing someone say good things, he hurriedly looked at him and also cupped his fists in return. Thank you, thank you. May I know what's your position? Young Master Zhang, you must be joking. It's just a small business to make a living. I run a Shannon fur trading company. I collect some furs, tanning, processing, and sell them. The businessman's voice was very soft, as if he was afraid of being looked down upon. Zhang Xiaobao pondered for a moment and said, Shannon Hu Xiao for Manufacturing and Marketing Group, right? So you're young Master Fang? Young Master Fang, you're too modest. In the first quarter of this spring, your group paid 6 million yuan in taxes. If you think the business is too small, then there's no such thing as a big business in the world. The businessman was shocked by Zhang Xiaobao's words and looked at Zhang Xiaobao in surprise, as if wondering how Zhang Xiaobao knew so much. Chapter 902. When the businessman surnamed Fang heard Zhang Xiaobao's words, his first reaction was not to ask Zhang Xiaobao, but to look around nervously. Seeing that there were no outsiders nearby, he lowered his voice and said, Young Master Zhang, do you have time later? I would like to invite young Master Zhang and his wife to eat something in a secluded place. Looking at the other party's overreaction, Zhang Xiaobao and Wei Wei shook their head. I don't have time. I still have to build a house for Shueyan and her husband, so I'll skip the meal. Do you want to make money? Yes, very much. Young Master Zhang is busy and takes care of a lot of things every day, but there are too many people around. If someone with bad intentions knows, then Fang Dongjia was clear in his heart. Although Zhang Xiaobao just praised him for paying a lot of taxes and said that his Shannon Tiger Skin Manufacturing and Marketing Group was big, but compared to other people's business, it was not enough. What was 6 million? It was only 60,000 strings of cash. How big could the group be? The taxes that other people paid in a quarter could buy several groups of his own. It was very difficult to invite Zhang Xiaobao to eat a meal. It was not enough to just have a little money. There were many people richer than him. If he invited all of them, Zhang Xiaobao would not need to do anything else but accompany him to eat every day. But Fang Dongjia did not want to share with others, so it was very difficult for him. Zhang Xiaobao sighed and said to Fang Dongjia, Fang Dongjia, you can't eat by yourself. After listening today, if you have any friends in the business world, you can contact them. Don't worry, I won't lie to you. Ah, big business? Fang Dongjia was stunned, then suddenly understood. Yes, 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 unless young Master Zhang doesn't do it, it will naturally not be a small business. Young Master Zhang, don't misunderstand. I didn't say that you lied to me. I still know you. My business is not harmful, and you won't attack me. Can you tell me in detail? Fang Dongjia couldn't imagine how big of a storm Zhang Xiaobao would stir up this time. The only thing he knew was that Zhang Xiaobao would make a move against him. He still understood Zhang Xiaobao's style of doing things very well. Whether it was a merchant of the Great Tang or an outsider, as long as they did business in the Great Tang, it was fine to buy at a low price and sell at a high price. It was also fine if there was a shortage of goods in a place that were not for the livelihood of the people, but it was forbidden to deliberately interfere. If one didn't speculate in goods related to the livelihood of the people, he wouldn't care, but if one really did, one could only wait to go bankrupt. Some people hated him, some loved him. They hated him for being a busybody, but they loved him for having a high moral character. There were even more worshippers who worshipped him as a god-like existence in the business world. Thinking of this, Fang Dongjia recalled what he had done and found that he had not crossed Zhang Xiaobao's bottom line. Thus, he was not afraid. He just wanted to know how much money he had invested and how much he had earned. As the two of them approached each other and whispered, the gazes of those who were slightly further away immediately swept over. Seeing Zhang Xiaobao, they couldn't see anything, but seeing Fang Dongjia's expression, they knew that something good had happened. Zhang Xiaobao didn't care if others could hear them. It was best if more people were eavesdropping, whether it was a friendly party or someone who secretly wanted to deal with him. It didn't matter. He wasn't afraid that someone would do something bad. Whoever dared to do it would come. Thus, Zhang Xiaobao's voice was slightly louder, but the penetrating power was stronger. Fang Dongjia, do you know that there is an island in the Great Tang that is sought by famous people? I know. Is my leather goods seller going to sell there? Fang Dongjia didn't understand. You can buy furs on the island. Besides animal furs, there is also fish furs. You can also directly invest money in it. After a year, when there is a profit, contact your friends and cooperate with them. It is guaranteed that you will make a profit and not lose money. If I wasn't worried about causing too much of a stir, I would just give a call, and the merchants of the Great Tang would probably start fighting. Zhang Xiaobao pointed to the east where there was a sea, and said to Fang Dongjia. Fang Dongjia heard Zhang Xiaobao's voice and was secretly distressed. The people nearby must have heard it. For a moment, he was anxious and helpless. Young Master Zhang, how much is it? The initial investment is 5 million strings of cash. Can Fang Dongjia handle a loan? Zhang Xiaobao emphasized the 5 million strings of cash. When the people nearby heard this, their eyes widened at almost the same time. Takeshita Junichiro, who had just arrived, also pricked up his ears. What a large amount! Just the initial investment was 5 million strings of cash. Fang Dongjia shook his head vigorously. I can't handle it, but I can find someone to raise it. Can young Master Zhang tell me more about it? I can't. There are too many details. If you believe me, take the money. If you don't, stay away. Zhang Xiaobao showed an unhappy expression. He turned his head to look at the house built for Shui Yun and her husband. The house was being built to a height of 10 zhang. He didn't know what height Shui Yun had in mind. I believe you. I'll go find someone to discuss it. If the money isn't enough, young Master Zhang, when you find someone else, you must bring me along. Fang Dongjia knew that he had misspoken. After explaining, he didn't dare to disturb Zhang Xiaobao. He lowered his head and walked out in large strides. Takeshita Junichiro looked at Zhang Xiaobao and then glanced at the house. After a moment of consideration, he chased after Fang Dongjia. Zhang Xiaobao glanced sideways at Takeshita Junichiro's back and shook his head. He said to Wang Wan, who was looking over, I thought it would take a lot of effort. I was worried about how to get him to fall into the trap. I didn't expect him to come in by himself. You won't blame me, right? Is there a difference? Your purpose is to get him in. Whether he takes the initiative or not, don't act so innocent while scheming. Shui Yun, is that okay? Wang Wan said a few words to Zhang Xiaobao with a smile. She turned around and asked Shui Yun, who was waiting for her new home. Shui Yun didn't answer directly. Instead, she flapped her wings and gradually flew away. After a while, 2 different eagle cries came from the sky. The Shui Yun couple, one red and one white, appeared under the cloth of the hot air balloon. They circled around the shelf a few times, and both landed in front of Zhang Xiaobao. Shui Yun nodded. Oh, I understand. Zhang Xiaobao also nodded. Shui Yun, I don't want to criticize you, but it's wrong to be afraid of your wife. Is the height of the house enough? Can't you just say a word? You have to discuss it with your wife. It's too embarrassing for a man. You must have the final say on important matters. You can't be spoiled. Shui Yun was fine with simple words, but after Zhang Xiaobao finished speaking, Shui Yun was confused. I love to hear my husband's words the most, husband. Tell this concubine, what is a big matter? Wang Wan, who was at the side, held Xiaobao's arm and asked in a sweet voice. The important matter is when I let the second son come out. Okay, this is the height. Reinforce the bottom. Don't let the wind blow it down and hurt the children. I'll only ask you. Zhang Xiaobao puffed out his chest and answered Wang Wan boldly. Then he directed the construction team again. After he was done talking about the construction team, Zhang Xiaobao turned to Shui Yun and said, ask your wife what kind of straw to use as a nest. If she thinks straw is hard, then there's also cotton. Someone, bring all the things we prepared here and let Shui Yun choose. Chapter 903. Under the attention of countless people, Shui Yun and her husband's home was repaired. Among the materials provided, Shui Yun chose a portion of cotton, a portion of straw, and even more than a dozen hard dry branches. After busying herself with Hong Luan for a little less than an hour, the soft bed was finally completed. Just when everyone thought that everything was over, Shui Yun flew away alone. After a while, she returned with a piece of cement in her mouth. Nobody knew where she got it from. She threw it at Zhang Xiaobao's feet and let out a long cry. Fortunately, it was Zhang Xiaobao. If it were an ordinary person, they wouldn't know what Shui Yun wanted to do. Wang Wan was more puzzled. Shui Yun wants to build a depression with cement around the nest, just like the gap on the cliff. The 2 sides can block the wind and the top can block the rain, Zhang Xiaobao said. The people in charge of the surrounding construction were surprised by Shui Yun's intelligence. Without further instructions, they hurriedly fetched the cement, climbed up the 10-feet-high shelf, and began to build a simulated cliff for the Shui Yun couple. When everything was ready, the cement was dry, and Shui Yun moved in. Wang Wan was a little worried. Xiaobao, do you think there will be people who can't hurt us and will target Shui Yun? Usually, Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao paid the most attention to safety and protection. One was always counted, and the other was specialized in this. They were never willing to leave a loophole that could be used by the enemy. Zhang Xiaobao nodded. I think it's possible. It's hard to guess people's thoughts of revenge. Some people are very careless. If they can't take revenge on the person themselves, they will take action around the person. They won't even let go of a dog. As long as they can find a chance to attack the other party, they will take action. Then why don't you think of a way? If anything happens to Shui Yun, we won't just lose an eagle. At that time, even if we cut the enemy into pieces, we won't be able to exchange for a life. We can stop guns, but what about crossbows? Wang Wan had long stopped treating Shui Yun as an animal. Just like Furry, the big goose she raised, she treated it as a part of the family. Firstly, animals with high intelligence were indeed cute. Secondly, it was to show the other farmers and servants that the master was good. If she could treat animals like this, how could she treat humans? Zhang Xiaobao was not in a hurry. He picked up a small stone the size of a thumbnail and threw it into the lake. Looking at the ripples, he said, How far can a crossbow shoot? This rack is built very well. Some parts of the wood are thick, while others are thin. Have you ever seen a magic trick? What magic trick? Wang Wan clearly knew that Zhang Xiaobao was using the method of asking questions to guide her. To be precise, he was showing off his knowledge, but she still cooperated with him and asked a question. It's to put a person performing a magic trick in a place that looks very narrow and difficult to hide in. Then, the magician can disappear in front of other people's eyes. Zhang Xiaobao opened his arms and made a gesture commonly used by magicians. However, he was not wearing a large black robe, so he looked a little out of place. Wang Wan nodded cooperatively. With a blank look in her eyes, she replied, "I've seen it before." "What's wrong?" "It's very magical." "Xiaobao, do you know how to do it?" "Tell me, I've always wanted to understand the principle behind it." Zhang Xiaobao immediately became depressed. Wang Wan's words were too fake. He bowed his head in resignation. "Wifey, thank you. You know how to take care of my face." What I meant was to use the error of visual angle to put people on the rack. No matter how far a crossbow's attack range is, it's not as far as our sniper rifle. I'll just have to inconvenience Shui Yun and her husband. Let them be the bait and give the people who want to deal with us a chance. Shui Yun is now a general. No matter whether she's an eagle or a man, she's still an official of the imperial court. As long as someone comes within a certain distance and wants to do something unfavorable to Shui Yun, we'll take action in advance. What if it's someone from the imperial family? Wang Wan didn't play dumb this time. She walked around the rack and looked around as she asked. "It's the same. As long as they don't give notice in advance, no one can come. Except for Li Longji and my godfather. When something really happens, we'll have Shui Yun go to the palace to fight the local court and let our wise His Majesty, the Emperor, preside over justice." As he spoke, Zhang Xiaobao shook his head. "I reckon Shui Yun won't be able to win even once. She can't speak the human language. Won't the other party's mouth be whatever they say? Don't you think so? You're too bad. You send people to make a move and then have Shui Yun do it. She won't be able to say anything. But it's precisely because she can't speak that the other party is depressed. Just like Xiao Bei and the others, if they really do catch an official and bring him to the palace, even if the other party has no problems, they'll still be taught a lesson. Between the words of a child and the words of an adult, there's no need to ask which is more trustworthy. Even if Li Longji clearly knows that Xiao Bei and the others are lying, he'll still teach that official a lesson even if he doesn't give us face. Why is it that other people aren't caught, but you're being targeted by a group of children? You can't even solve a child's problem. So what can you do? Wang Wan imagined that one day, Shui Yun and her husband would really go to Xingqing Palace to confront the other party. She couldn't help but want to laugh. It was really too difficult to understand the principles of this world. At the mention of Xiao Bei, a gratified smile appeared on Zhang Xiaobao's face. The railway was about to be completed. His younger brothers and sisters went there to help every day. They sang songs and danced for the people who worked for free and only ate a meal. Their popularity was getting better and better. Xiao Bei wrote a memorial yesterday. Did you see it? Zhang Xiaobao asked. I saw it. I don't know why this little girl is so smart. She said that she's waiting for the railway to be completed and invited the people of the capital to take it for free. She's not willing to spend the money she earned to buy tickets and insists that we bear the cost. I don't know why she needs so much money. I heard from the person who takes care of her that she took all of Shanghai and the others' money. In total, it should be 10,000 strings of cash, right? Wang Wan followed. That's right. They usually do their homework well and help with the household chores. Add to that the reward given to them by those truly outrageous officials. It should be more than 11,000 strings of cash. It's not a small amount. Don't worry too much about this matter. Let her do it. Even if she makes a mistake, it's fine. We'll help clean up the mess. Zhang Xiaobao didn't deliberately remember how much money his younger brothers and sisters had. It was just a professional habit. Okay, let's not care. Let's go and take a look at the railway that's been completed. The Great Tang's railway has a long way to go. Xiaobao, those two people don't seem to be looking at us right now. Chapter 904. After hearing Wang Wan's words, Zhang Xiaobao nodded his head slightly, indicating that he understood. He did not turn his head to look at the two people. Xiaobao, what do you think the two of them want to do? They have been watching us for a long time. Do they still dare to do anything to us? Wang Wan did not look at the two of them, afraid that they would be alerted. She hugged Zhang Xiaobao's arm and spoke intimately. They look like thieves. I noticed them long ago. That look in their eyes is very familiar. Zhang Xiaobao was also a little puzzled. Logically speaking, his and Wang Wan's identities were known by many people. As long as the two of them did not deliberately disguise themselves, at least 2 out of 10 people walking on the streets of Chang would be able to recognize them. The two of them were pretending to be innocent. No matter how one looked at it, they had something to do. Since that was the case, they must be locals. Even if they came from outside, they would first understand the local situation. Could it be that they were tired of living? Did they want to test the consequences of stealing the provincial governor? After Zhang Xiaobao said that, Wang Wan glanced at the two of them again and found that it was indeed so. When she carried Zhang Xiaobao and continued to walk, she said, "You are with them. Why didn't they come over? Don't slander them. Why don't you say that you are with them? Let's go and look at our railway. Ignore them. We will know who they are later. I hope that they really have a motive for us. It would be best if there is a very mysterious organization behind them." Zhang Xiaobao did not care that there were people watching them. When the two of them were watching them, there were also people watching the two of them. When the time came, they would follow and find the clues. You want to clear your name when you just made a move not long ago? In the Tang Empire, why haven't I seen such mysterious things? I feel that the two of us are already mysterious enough. Do you think the train will be like the first train at that time? Very, very slow? It will make people feel that it is much worse than a horse. Wang Wan leaned closer to Zhang Xiaobao. When she talked about the mysterious relationship between her and Zhang Xiaobao, her eyes were a little blank, as if she was reminiscing, but also as if she had forgotten. Zhang Xiaobao was also stunned, then sighed, "Previous life?" That's right. Past life and present life. Could it be that one glance in the past life was all for the sake of meeting in this life? Wang Wan rested her head on Zhang Xiaobao's shoulder and sang a few lines, which confused Zhang Xiaobao. When was this song released? It's passable. More than 100 years ago. Oh, more than 1,000 years later. You're singing a song that's been there for so long? It's old. Oh, wrong. You even sang such a popular song. There's no such tune now. Anyway, that's how it is. Zhang Xiaobao, who had never heard this song before, did not know how to time it. Is Guogo old? When it's time to sing, it still has to be sung. Is Spring River Flower Moon old? That's classical. Didn't so many people use the flute to play the 3 plum blossoms? Is Steam Engine Train old? When the people of today and the people of our time see it, I believe they will find it fresh. Wang Wan was in a good mood, so she debated with Zhang Xiaobao for a while. Zhang Xiaobao was enlightened. He smiled and said, "Yes, it's too philosophical. Steam Engine Train is very attractive no matter where we are, especially when it can move." It was early autumn. There was less than a month before the fall quarter examinations. Many people gathered on both sides of the tracks that had been laid out outside the capital. The locals, the merchants who came and went, the officials who stayed behind in the spring, or the students who didn't pass the examinations but wanted to continue, plus the scholars who came from other places after hearing the news of the autumn examination. They all came to see what the train was. Today's weather was good. There was no scorching sun, and there was no sign of rain. It was just a cloudy day. There was a slight breeze blowing, making people feel cool. Before the train appeared, the people waiting began to talk, especially those who were here to participate in the fall quarter examinations. They were not familiar with this place, So they gathered in groups of 3 to 5 with the locals who had come with them and asked them for information. In the end, what these people heard the most was not the train that was about to appear, but the 10 days of free banquets and the shocking scene on the first day. You didn't see it that day. Let me tell you. Aya, flying in the sky, swimming in the water, running on the ground, jumping in the grass. That guy, go to the mutton soup restaurant in Shi City. You'll hear more details. A waiter who worked in a small shop in the capital had also asked for leave today to join in the fun. While chatting with others, he did not forget to advertise the shop he worked for. The only thing that was lacking was that there was a slight discrepancy between the truth and the truth. He had used an exaggerating method. The people who came to participate in the fall quarter examinations knew that this person was not telling the truth, but they did not expose him. They allowed him to speak, and they could hear more from him. Do you think that I'm lying? This waiter was good at reading people's expressions. He knew a thing or two from the expressions of the people listening to him. A few outsiders, the leader in the middle, smiled and said, "I do. After we see this thing called the train, we'll go to the mutton soup restaurant. Is there anything else interesting?" "Hey, really? Then when I serve the food, I'll ask the kitchen to give you a bigger serving." Let me tell you, our mutton soup restaurant does not only serve mutton soup. If you want to eat thin, we have thin, dry, and sesame seed cakes. This sesame seed cake. Oh, tell me something interesting. Okay. The waiter did not forget to advertise his shop. If Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan saw this, they would definitely pull him into their shop. He was a good worker. The people waiting were getting impatient. The waiter changed the topic and whispered, "Let me tell you, don't spread it. You must be here to participate in the fall quarter examinations, right? It seems that you are quite knowledgeable, but don't think about becoming the top scorer." "Why?" The leader had an inquisitive expression. "Do you still need to ask? It's already been decided by someone. According to the news from inside, no matter who comes and how many people come, the top scorer's position will not change. If you have any connections, you should quickly go and see if you can get another position. Let me tell you, even if you can't find any connections, don't be afraid. My mutton soup restaurant often has people of high status going there. When the time comes, right?" As if he was afraid of being overheard, the waiter looked around nervously. Then he lowered his voice and whispered the secret to them. "I wonder who is so capable? How could the top scorer be decided?" Chapter 905. When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan arrived at the railway and waited for the first train to move, they heard various voices coming from the crowd. After Wang Wan heard it, she did not think it was a coincidence. The people who should be talking about the train were actually talking about the upcoming autumn examinations. This was definitely not normal. She frowned and listened carefully for a while. Then she said to Zhang Xiaobao, "It seems that some people don't want us to properly participate in the examinations. Yes, they have nothing to do. They have to find something to do to feel that life is not monotonous. They are also very noble. It's not easy. They clearly know that doing such small actions will not have much of an effect on us, but they still insist on doing it. Their goal is to make us worry every time. What kind of spirit is this?" Zhang Xiaobao's lips curled up. He seemed to be very happy, making the slightly depressed Wang Wan burst out laughing. If they hear your words and see your expression, I wonder if they will go crazy. You actually don't show any annoyance at all. I really don't care. I'm not pretending for others to see. Not to mention that this is an era of imperial power, even in the later era of communism, which commoner can stop the decision of the upper class. If you don't behave, then you will be suppressed. Zhang Xiaobao looked around with a calm expression. Wang Wan was clearly not satisfied with Zhang Xiaobao's evaluation of the regime of a certain era. There are still better things. The past is the past. What do we do now? The imperial examination is a big event. If many people who participate in the examination know that the top scorer has been decided, they might gather together to cause trouble. Do you really plan to suppress them with force? Suppress? Do you think I am such a cold-blooded person? I can't bear to see anyone get hurt. Let's go forward. Don't let people recognize us. That will be troublesome. After all, we are public figures. Zhang Xiaobao wanted to pull down the brim of his hat. He pulled Wang Wan's hand and squeezed into the crowd. Only when they were really in the crowd could they feel the lively atmosphere. Wang Wan also followed suit and pulled down her hat. Slow down. Aren't you cold-blooded? You can't bear to see others get hurt, so you close your eyes to hurt others. I'm asking you for a proper solution. Your attitude is not good. A solution? It's simple. Watch me. Zhang Xiaobao and Wei Wei smiled, still looking indifferent. They touched the arm of the person beside them and asked, "Big brother, I want to ask about something. Just now, I heard someone talking about this year's autumn examinations. What's going on?" The person who was touched by Zhang Xiaobao turned his head to look at him. When he saw Zhang Xiaobao smiling very amiably, he also smiled and said in a low voice, "Do you know why there is a spring quarter examination this year, and there will be an autumn quarter examination soon?" "I don't know." "Big brother, do you have any inside information?" Zhang Xiaobao cooperated with the pose of an underground gang member and asked with a twinkle in his eyes. "This is for special people." "Special people? Who was so special?" "I refuse to accept this," Zhang Xiaobao said indignantly. "There are many people who refuse to accept this, but we don't know who it is. Maybe it won't take long to find out. Don't tell others. If you get caught, don't blame me." This person pointed to the sky mysteriously and even trembled, indicating that it was very dangerous. Zhang Xiaobao nodded repeatedly. "Yes, I won't say. When it comes out of your mouth, it enters my ears. No one else can hear it. Has the top scorer been arranged?" "What top scorer?" "The other positions have also been arranged. This year's autumn quarter examination is a scam." This person's mouth was almost reaching his ears, and he didn't hide his disdain at all. Zhang Xiaobao also followed this person's words. He gritted his teeth, rolled his eyes, and said, "Big brother, when I squeezed my way over, I heard that this year's top scorer was given to Zhang Xiaobao. His father is a minister in the Ministry of Works, and his hometown is Zhangji Zhuangzi in Sanshui County. That little brat is not even 20 years old. How can he be the top scorer? If it's him, I've decided not to stay in Tang. I'll pack up and go somewhere else." "Oh, this brother, don't blame me. I'm a straightforward person. I'll say whatever comes to my mind. Don't listen to other people's nonsense. If it was really given to Zhang Xiaobao, then it would be fine. Brother, I'm not trying to lecture you, but you should learn more and think more." This person directly scolded Zhang Xiaobao. Perhaps he felt that it was a little inappropriate, so he explained himself and changed his tone to that of a teacher. "Yes, Big brother is right. Think more, but what are you thinking about?" Zhang Xiaobao turned his head to look at Wang Wan and winked at Wang Wan. He meant to say, "Look, isn't Big brother awesome? I have supporters." Wang Wan pursed her lips and laughed softly, indicating for Zhang Xiaobao to continue. "Don't know what to think? Let me ask you, what is the purpose of the imperial examinations?" This person puffed out his chest and acted like a teacher. "Purpose? Of course, it's to become an official. There needs to be an official in the imperial court." "That's right. What does an official do? Govern a place, don't you think so?" This person continued to follow Zhang Xiaobao's words. Zhang Xiaobao nodded. "Yes, and then? Then it's to let the people live a good life. You look like someone with some knowledge. Why don't you understand?" Our Xiaobao and Cuckoo are already governing the place, and they are doing very well. No matter where they are, the people there will live a good life. Do you understand? Our Xiaobao and Cuckoo are already good officials. They are not the top scorer because they don't have the time to take the examinations. If they take the examinations, they will pass every examination. It would be strange if Xiaobao, who can govern the place so well, did not become the top scorer. This person kept mentioning our Xiaobao and Cuckoo. His words were so intimate that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were stunned. They looked at each other and saw a hint of moisture and determination in each other's eyes. Zhang Xiaobao thought for a moment and said to this person, "Big brother, if Xiaobao and Cuckoo hear your words, they will be very happy. Maybe they will really participate in the autumn examinations this year to be fair. Why don't we find someone to let the people in the imperial court know that it is only fair if Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan participate this year? I don't think Wang Wan can do it. She is a woman. So what if she is? How many men in Tang dare to say that they are better than her? Our Cuckoo is not inferior to men." You are right. Let them participate in the autumn examinations and see who dares not to become the top scorer. All right, you stay here first. I will go out and take a walk. After this person finished speaking, he did not know where he was going and squeezed out with all his strength. "You are lying," Wang Wan said to Zhang Xiaobao as she looked in the direction that the person left. "I am not lying. I am really participating in the autumn examinations this year. Everyone says that if the emperor treats me like a country scholar, I will repay him like a country scholar. Since the people think that we are good officials and can let them live a good life, we will work together to make their lives better day by day." Chapter 906. Zhang Xiaobao had not expected the development of the rumors. He had originally planned to use some underhanded means, but now he decided to do something practical. While waiting for the legendary train to appear, the crowd's opinion changed. They had initially questioned the fairness of the fall quarter examinations, but now they demanded that Zhang Xiaobao participate in the examinations and become the top scorer. Those who did not know the details of the situation cleverly found a good idea. Since the rankings of the fall quarter examinations had already been decided, as long as they pushed Zhang Xiaobao up, they could destroy the scheme. They had to give Zhang Xiaobao the top scorer. Apart from the ordinary people, the ones who liked to add fuel to the fire were the merchants. The merchants did not care about who was first or second in the fall quarter examinations. They only cared about their own status. Now, the merchant status had risen slightly. One reason was because of the support they had received from Zhang Xiaobao's several business operations, and the other reason was because of the resources and money they had contributed to the Chaoyang operation. These caused the merchant's image to change. The only thing they could think of when they heard the people's discussion was that if Zhang Xiaobao really participated in this year's fall quarter examinations and did not become the top scorer, then their status would drop. In the eyes of the scholars, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were a pair of people who valued education. They had proposed the Chaoyang operation for the first time in Baoxing County and had worked hard for it. In the eyes of the people, Zhang Xiaobao and Zhang Xiaobao were a pair of capable officials who cared about the suffering of the people. Wherever the two of them went to be officials, the lives of the people were very good. In the eyes of the merchants, Wang Wan was automatically ignored. Zhang Xiaobao had become the god of war of the business world. As long as he said something, as long as he commanded an operation, there was no need to doubt or hesitate. They would definitely not go wrong. If he did not become the top scorer, then wouldn't that mean that the merchants of Great Tang were even less capable? The little bit of reputation that he had painstakingly built up would go down the drain again, and it was unknown when he would be able to recover it. Therefore, this flag could not fall. Even if he had to use money, he had to push Zhang Xiaobao to the position of top scorer. With this idea in mind, the businessmen were not like the commoners who only knew how to talk. They were afraid that a long night would bring trouble, so they did not care about the train anymore. They squeezed out of the crowd and found a place where they could send telegrams. They sent telegrams to their business partners and discussed how to push Zhang Xiaobao to the top spot when he participated in the fall quarter examinations. Just like that, the atmosphere of what should have been a lively scene of watching the train changed. Li Longji, who was watching the show from the sky in the hot air balloon, was also paying attention to the situation below. From time to time, someone would send him information. However, the events that transpired today were a little out of Li Longji's expectations. At first, everyone was talking about the train, but later on, they were talking about the rankings of this year's fall quarter examinations. When Li Longji first heard this news, he glared at the other people in the hot air balloon accompanying him. Those people were from the imperial clan, especially those from the imperial clan who had always been at odds with Zhang Xiaobao and the Wang clan. If Li Longji did not know that they were the ones behind this, he would not be the emperor anymore. Just as he was wondering how to suppress this matter, the direction of the discussions below changed. After hearing the report from the person who received the telegram, Li Longji exhaled. He picked up a glass of wine with ice cubes and took a sip comfortably. He asked Gao Lishir, do you have anything to say? Gao Lishir was in a good mood when he heard the emperor's question. He pondered for a moment before replying. This subject has noticed that the commoners have become smarter and more daring. They are actually starting to care about the matters of the imperial court. Without knowing the inside story, it is not appropriate for them to recklessly discuss the matters of the imperial court. Is it really not appropriate? Li Longji asked again. This subject is unable to make a judgment at the moment. If I say that it is not appropriate, it is indeed not appropriate. How would the commoners know that the matters of the imperial court are difficult to handle? However, there are also benefits. At the very least, if the local officials want to deceive the commoners into doing something bad, even if the commoners do not say it, they will know in their hearts that it will not be the same as before, where the commoners can only follow the orders of the officials. During this year's spring flood, many officials who were improper in their governance were reported. Coupled with the publicity in the newspapers, the commoners in the affected areas evacuated very quickly. This was unlike in the past, where there were people who would rather die in their homes than leave. This was because they knew that leaving was only temporary. Once the flood subsided, there would be people helping to rebuild. The commoners who were not affected by the disaster were also willing to temporarily accept those who escaped. This is a sign of increased cohesion. This subject believes that His Majesty will start a war and write about the enemy's disrespect to our great Tang in the newspapers. At that time, even if the number of regular soldiers is not enough, we will be able to increase the number of soldiers by 10 million to fight for the country. At this moment, Gao Lishir was not happy that his godson had gained the support of the commoners. He did not purely comment on whether the commoners should become smarter or not. He was analyzing the gains and losses from the perspective of the country. Li Longji did not speak immediately. He narrowed his eyes and leaned back in his chair. After thinking for a while, he smiled and said, I think that as long as no one deliberately sows discord, the commoners are still good people. The more knowledge the commoners have, the harder it will be for others to incite them. Unless I am so muddle-headed that I should retire, the commoners will not support me. However, it is not easy to be a local official. If he does something wrong, it will be difficult for him to fool the commoners. He can't just lie with his eyes wide open, right? We can learn from the local officials. Luzhou, Wuxing County, Shuzhou, and Chang'an County. They have publicized their income, the things they have to do, and the money they have to spend. If they are not guilty, what is there to be afraid of? Am I right, Lishir? Your Majesty is right. Take Wuxing County, for example. I've paid attention to it. The new county magistrate has been following the rules and doing things according to the old ways. This year he built a new yamen, and he also built a new one with the money from the yamen. He didn't want to build the yamen himself. The commoners saw that the yamen in the county was too shabby and felt that it would affect the county's image. Therefore, they took the initiative to jointly request the county magistrate to build the yamen. In the past, whenever an official wanted to build a yamen, even if the commoners did not dare to say it openly, they would curse behind their backs. Xiao Bao and Cuckoo once said that the commoners of Tang are the best and most reasonable people. As long as they are not forced into a corner, they will be very obedient. Therefore, before Gao Lishir could finish his sentence, Li Longji finished his sentence with a murderous look on his face. Then he said, If I find out which official is forcing the commoners to their deaths, I'll confiscate his house and let him die a horrible death." After he finished speaking, Li Longji smiled again. He glanced at the other hot air balloons and said, "Xiao Bao and Cuckoo will participate in the fall examination this year. Even if the two of them want to find an excuse, they won't be able to escape. This is the will of the people, after all. It's time to let the people know that they can't go against the will of the people and behave themselves." Indeed, the people on the hot air balloons behaved themselves. They had also received the news from their subordinates. Initially, they wanted to make a big fuss about it. When the commoners were unhappy and objected to it, they wanted to mention Zhang Xiaobao's name so that Zhang Xiaobao would not be able to become the top scorer. What they didn't expect was that by pushing the people behind the scenes, they would get a different result. Before they could achieve their goal, when they mentioned Zhang Xiaobao's name, the commoners themselves thought of Zhang Xiaobao and took the initiative to mention him. The people who passed on the message did not add any embellishments, but they kept calling him our Xiaobao and our Cuckoo. These kinds of words made people feel fear. Without any sense of distance, it didn't mean that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had lost their status as officials in the eyes of the commoners. Not only would it not hinder them from issuing administrative orders, but it would also allow them to gain the support of the commoners. A mantis trying to stop a chariot. A portion of the members of the imperial clan who wanted to go against Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan simultaneously thought of this phrase. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who were squeezing through the crowd, finally arrived at the side of the railway. This was the place where the train was supposed to connect. The train was not here, but on the boat. Originally, it was agreed that Luoyang was connected to Chang'an. After arriving at the Yellow River, the passengers would get off the train, cross the bridge, and take the train on the other side to continue their journey. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan discussed this matter for several days. Finally, they decided to use the boat to load the train and go between the two sides. After all, the passengers could walk, but it was not easy to handle the goods. If they had the time to load and unload, it would be better to pull the train directly. Wang Wan waited for the train to come in a while so that she could stand on the platform with Zhang Xiaobao and announce the matter. Her eyes swept back and forth on the river surface, and she said to Zhang Xiaobao, "It would be good if there were electric locomotives. The current steam engine can't pull things that are too heavy. It can only pull 15 carriages at a time, and each carriage can only carry 20 tons of goods. The speed is only 30 kilometers per hour. It's really slow. The speed of the train is slow, and the number of carriages it can pull is small. However, the technological development of the Tang Empire is fast. If we can build a train today, I dare to build an airplane tomorrow. Look at this railway. Even if we don't give the steam engine technology to Japan and other countries, they can't build a railway." Zhang Xiaobao was very satisfied with this train. This was not just a problem of a train. Other aspects of technology must meet the corresponding requirements before a train can appear. Yes, it's all thanks to you. Remember to send people to guard the railway. I'm afraid that someone will remember us and send people to dig the railway. It can transport 300 tons of goods at a time. If it is built to Tibet, I will mobilize the troops and you will organize the logistics. Then it's too far, right? It can't be built. Wang Wan fantasized about the transportation ability of the train during a war. When she thought of the Longyu Road, she laughed. Now, it was no different from a fool's dream to build a railway there. Yes, there will be such a day. However, I estimate that the railway can be built to India one day. If you really want to go to war, you can use a large transport plane. Remember to write down the names of those who participated in the development of the train and let the people of the world know of their existence. I don't dare to take credit. Chapter 907. Under the anticipation of the crowd, the ship carrying the train slowly entered the dock. There were 15 carriages with a capacity of 20 tons and 2 noses. It didn't need to be a big ship, just a large ferry that transported goods on the river would do. Because it was for show, there were no cargo compartments. Instead, there were 15 passenger compartments with transparent and clean glass windows. The carriages were painted a bright light blue. When it appeared in front of the people, the waiting people instantly liked this thing called a train. They thought that it would be very comfortable to sit in it. Only Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan understood how uncomfortable it was to sit in such a rumbling train. They had sat in specially built nostalgic places before. I think it's okay. At least it's not like what an article said. The people of Tang can go and enjoy life. Zhang Xiaobao suppressed the other thoughts in his heart and praised against his will. Wang Wan nodded. Yes, it's better than sitting in a carriage. Even the Quicksilver dynamic balance house that Xiao Bei and the others sat in when they were young is not as good as this train. How high are you going to set the ticket price? Ticket price? It's not very far from Chang until Luoyang, right? It's close in a straight line, but the railway makes a detour. It takes a day and a night to stop and wait for people and get on and off the ship. The theoretical speed is 30 kilometers per hour, but it can't be achieved in practice. How about 30 copper coins? Is it expensive? Zhang Xiaobao also couldn't estimate the price. If the cost of the railway and the train were to be calculated, then the price would be high. However, if the cost of normal travel was considered, then the price should be low. Wang Wan's beautiful eyebrows raised twice. She said, if we walk from Chang until Luoyang, it will take a month. If we walk quickly, it will take half a month. If we ride fast, we will arrive in a day. When we leave, we will eat fried noodles, dry biscuits, and salted vegetables. Water will be free on the road, and we will take our own shoes. That will cost 20 copper coins. If you want to save money, go ahead. Now that the roads are better, go along the railway. It's safer than before. If you want to save time, take the train. I think there will be a lot of merchants. Anyway, merchants don't lack money. Let's set it at 50 coins. Is that enough for the coal? Shaanxi and Hunan both produce coal, so of course there will be enough. The stations along the way will need more coal reserves. Supplies will need to be resupplied, and water will also need 2 tracks, one going and one coming back. When we have enough this time, we will think of a way to increase the number of tracks. 50 copper coins will do. Zhang Xiaobao did some calculations and felt that this price was not considered expensive. The time saved from this trip was still very precious, especially for merchants. While the two of them were discussing the price, the ship on the dock connected with the railway. Under the command of Xiao Qi, the train on the ship started to pick up speed with a rumbling sound. Thick smoke billowed out of it. When the people on both sides of the railway saw the huge head of the train, they were shocked. They also felt a kind of pressure coming from it. They were afraid that such a huge thing would suddenly rush out and hit them, so they all dodged to the side. For a moment, the scene was very chaotic. Fortunately, someone had already anticipated this situation and quickly used a loudspeaker to shout, telling the crowd not to panic, and that the train would not appear outside the 2 iron pillars. Only then did the restless crowd calm down. When the 17 carriages of the train had all arrived on the ground and were heading towards the entrance of the capital, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not care about the slow speed of the train and directly climbed onto the train. Under the shock of the people watching, they continuously waved their hands. It's Xiaobao. It's Xiaobao and Cuckoo. Someone in the crowd immediately recognized Zhang Xiaobao and shouted at the top of his voice, trying to drown out the sound of the train. Unfortunately, only a few people next to him could hear it. On the train, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan frowned. The two of them wanted to take this opportunity to talk, but they did not expect that the sound of the train was too loud. No matter how much they shouted, it was useless. The hot air balloon in the sky was slightly further away, so it was not affected much. Gao Lishir said to Li Longji, "Your Majesty, this thing is the train. I estimate that it will take less than 24 hours to go from Dongdu to Chang'an. Your Majesty, if you want to go out in the future, you only need to take the train and not let other people come on. You don't have to worry about your safety, and you don't need to spend too much money. In fact, Even without Gao Lisher's words, Li Longji had the same idea. He liked to go out for a stroll, but every time he went out, he had to spend a lot of money. Just the team of guards was very large. Now that there was a train, he could charter one. However, he could not say that. It would be easy for people to mistake him as Yang Guang. It was obvious that he was building a canal to facilitate transportation, but he could not bear to be accused of it. He nodded and said, "We should also prioritize the benefits of the people. We should speed up the transportation and coordinate the transportation between the north and the south. When this line is running normally, we should consider the people and the livelihood of the people in other places of Tang." Gao Lisher understood. "Your Majesty, rest assured. As long as this line is successful, I believe that other places will be paved with railways as soon as possible. Now that our dynasty is rich with money and grain, and with Xiao Bao's support, no one dares to say that the Zhang family and Wang family are building the railway and train for their own interests. I estimate that it won't be long before the railway from Chang and to Sanshui County is completed, and then to Jili Province and Jiangnan East Road. Perhaps there will be a railway from Jiangnan East Road to Luzhou. I'll ask Xiao Bao about this. Perhaps he already has a plan." Gao Lisher's meaning was very clear. He meant that the current situation was different from before. The imperial court could still support the construction of the railway. Moreover, this proposal was led by Zhang Zhong's Ministry of Works. Even if others were to blame them, they would look for the Zhang family and Wang family and subtly mention it. It would be very convenient for them to travel in the future. When the train slowly came to the outskirts of Chang'an, it finally came to a stop with an ear-piercing sound of brakes. Zhang Xiaobao shook his head vigorously and stretched out his hand to the person who was shouting below, asking that person to throw a loudspeaker up. At this time, he and Wang had already taken off their hats, and they were no longer as low-key. Many people recognized the two of them. Immediately, a burst of cheers broke out in the crowd. Some were happy to see the two of them, while some were purely supporting them. There were also some who cheered along with others. As for why they were cheering, they had no idea. Zhang Xiaobao pretended to press down with one hand, indicating for the crowd to be quiet. When everyone stopped cheering, he put the loudspeaker to his mouth and said to the crowd, "Hello everyone. I'm Zhang Xiaobao." Wow! Another burst of cheers rang out below. Most of them were women. Wang curled her lips at the side, then suddenly smiled. She knew why so many girls were cheering. It was all because Zhang Xiaobao had given her so many things some time ago, especially the last 10 days of shrouding the sky. When he said 10 days, it was 10 days. During those 10 days, they could eat and drink as much as they wanted outside the city, but when they entered the city, they could enjoy endless shade. For a time, she became the dream lover of many girls who had fantasies in their hearts. Zhang Xiaobao saw Wang's expression from the corner of his eyes. He hurriedly pressed down with his hand again, waited for the cheers to die down, and introduced her. "This is the Deputy Provincial Governor of Bohai, Wang." Heaven and earth suddenly fell silent. The surrounding people did their best to control their breathing, let alone speak. They didn't even dare to use force. Zhang Xiaobao wanted to laugh but didn't dare to. Wang muttered, "Am I that scary?" Zhang Xiaobao's reaction was faster. He immediately said, "I understand your thoughts. In fact, the so-called warriors of Tubobak then were even more afraid than you." To what extent were they afraid of? A general suppressing 1,000 cavalry. Good. Demon Fiend Cuckoo, good job. Suddenly, a rough shout came from the crowd. With this shout, more shouts followed, instantly breaking the silence just now. Just like the shouts for Zhang Xiaobao just now, it was basically the voices of girls just now, but now it was the voices of men. Wang smiled happily this time. She kept waving at the surrounding people and even looked up at the group of hot air balloons, scaring the members of the imperial clan who were enemies of Zhang Xiaobao. Two of them almost fell from the top. After laughing for a while, Wang snatched the loudspeaker in Zhang Xiaobao's hand and shouted to the crowd, "I am Cuckoo. Whoever dares to offend Tang, I will lead the troops to kill. Whether it's Duoshur, Japan, or Xian Luo, kill. 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 The hot-blooded men below followed suit and shouted. Io. My great-aunt, pay attention to international influence. Many foreigners are here. Give it to me. You are not suitable to be a diplomat. Zhang Xiaobao quickly took the loudspeaker back and explained with a warm smile, just now, military commander Wang was joking with friends from other places. We are peace-loving people. Even if there are differences and conflicts, we will sit down and talk. We will not bring millions of soldiers to pressure the border, nor will we fire guns. Although we have very powerful special forces, everyone can rest assured that we will not use them for assassination. As for economic attacks, it will not happen. Don't worry. It would have been better if Zhang Xiaobao did not explain. Once he did, it made people from other countries worry, especially Takeshita Junichiro, who had been in Beijing with a certain purpose. He felt that the threat in Zhang Xiaobao's words was very heavy. Zhang Xiaobao did not care what others thought. A strong country should act like a strong country. Who said that strong countries had to look like they were easy to bully? After threatening the others, he smiled and said, "There's one more thing that I want to tell everyone. Actually, I'm not supposed to say it, but many people are concerned, so I'll mention it. That is, Wan and I will be participating in this year's fall quarter examinations. I guarantee that there won't be any cheating." Okay, Xiaobao Cuckoo, top scorer. The crowd below was in chaos again. There were all kinds of shouts. Chapter 908. Asking about the long journey. The moon turns and the sun sets. The blue sky, the flying gulls and herons. The wind blows over the Westlake. Asking about the long journey. Shameless, shameless. On the hot air balloon, Li Yan gritted his teeth and spat out a few words. Your Highness, there's no need to lower yourself to their level. They're just petty people who get what they deserve. The people around Li Yan quickly tried to persuade him. Li Yan had heard too many such words recently. Ever since his concubine's brother was dealt with, many people came to comfort him and ask him to bear with it, but not many were willing to help him. Li Yan understood that if it was someone else, even if it was another brother or the son of a prince, he would not have fallen into such a situation. It was because the person who impeached him was too unusual. 9 children jointly came to the morning court to cause trouble. That cute appearance of theirs was too lethal. Not to mention that they really had something on them. Even if they were not wrong, they would still be weaker. Even so, he endured it and looked for an opportunity to repay them generously. The people in the imperial family, who grieved for the loss of the rabbit, helped to talk to his father, thinking that it should be able to make the Zhang family and Wang family restrain themselves a little. Who knew that not only did they not care, they even made such a big scene during the recruitment ceremony. In the end, they even covered Chang, and with a cloth for 10 days. Now that they finally found a way to prevent Zhang Xiaobao from getting the honor he deserved in this year's autumn imperial examination, they did not expect that a train ride would help the two of them. Can they really be so arrogant? Aren't they afraid of being forced to abdicate? Li Yan muttered as he looked at his father's hot air balloon. He could not help but sigh at the lack of family affection in the imperial family. His own son was not as favored as an outsider. Sitting under the hot air balloon, Li Longji did not even think about his son Li Yan. He listened attentively to the voices below, appearing to be very satisfied. Even Gao Lishir beside him did not have any other thoughts. For example, Zhang family and Wang family were too powerful and difficult to control. In his opinion, such a thing was impossible to happen. The main reason was the attitude of the Zhang family and Wang family children. The 11 children were never afraid of the emperor like the others. The respect they showed was not for the throne, but for the emperor's age. The one with the most obvious performance was Xiao Bei. To Xiao Bei, the solemn palace was just another place to play. His Majesty, the emperor, was a kind elder. Xiao Bei was willing to help his elder with something, and also liked to sing and dance in front of his elder to express himself. There was also Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. There was not the slightest hint of nervousness on their faces. When they spoke with His Majesty, it was no different from a normal conversation. Although the topic was rather important, such as deciding the life and death of a country or planning the lives of the common people of the Great Tang, the ease with which they spoke was not something that could be faked. Even a king or the crown prince would not be able to speak so naturally. It showed that he did not have a ghost in his heart. He did not care whether His Majesty would be angry because of this, and he did not deliberately try to please His Majesty. In his magnanimity, it was exactly the same as the saying, "There is nothing that cannot be said to others." With that thought in mind, Gao Lisher said softly to Li Longji, "Your Majesty, it seems that you don't have to worry about the fall quarter examinations this year." "How can you not worry about it?" The two of them were able to speak when they were less than a year old, and when they were younger, they studied poetry and books. Don't look at how one of them is good at war and the other is good at governance. If one day the two of them were to switch positions, Zhen believes that Xiao Bao's ability to lead troops in battle would not be much worse than Wan Wan's, and Wan Wan's governance is also beyond the reach of ordinary people. This fall quarter examinations this year will be posted all over Chang'an. I will gather thousands of students in the hibiscus garden and test Xiao Bao and Cuckoo face to face. I will let the world see that I dote on them for a reason. Lisher, are you worried that the two of them will not be able to answer the questions? Li Longji decided to take a gamble on Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. He was betting that the two of them were not only proficient in military and politics, but were also proficient in other subjects. Li Longji had reason to be happy, especially when he heard that the people supported Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan to participate in the fall quarter examinations and become the top scorer. He was not worried about anything else, because no matter how much the people supported the two of them to become the top scorer, it was the thoughts expressed by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan as subjects. This showed that the people still approved of his position as the emperor. Gao Lisher nodded, then shook his head. Your Majesty, I am not worried that Xiao Bao and Cuckoo will not be able to answer the questions. The two of them memorized area when they were 4 years old. After that, they learned the selection of literature, the book of songs, and so on. It seems that if you put them in front of them, they would be able to learn it in a short period of time. Intelligent people do not need to study hard for 10 years to get a good ranking. Xiao Bao and Cuckoo have studied for many years. In addition, they have been intelligent since they were young. I think it would be too easy for them to talk about the imperial examination. The purpose of the imperial examination is to choose the pillars of the country. They have never taken the imperial examination, so who would dare to say that they are not capable? What I am worried about is that during the political discussion in the hibiscus garden, the two of them will reveal our dynasty secrets. Your Majesty must not casually ask about things that are too important. Otherwise, it will be difficult for the two of them to answer. I am also worried that Xiao Bao and Cuckoo will become famous in the autumn imperial examination, causing the other students to lose the confidence to participate in the spring imperial examination next year. I am not afraid of not knowing the goods, but I am afraid of comparing the goods. When Li Longji heard Gao Lisher's words, he also hesitated. He understood that the normal imperial examination questions were like child's play to Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. Not to mention other things, just Xiao Bei's 9 children could easily pass a county's children's examination. If it was only about literature, Xiao Yuan could even pass the provincial capital's high scholar examination without a problem. He was born with a good family. That thing called nutrition was good. In addition, his education method was special. Compared to other children of the same age, he was not just a little bit better. If the autumn imperial examination questions this year were really too difficult, would the other students still take the exam? If they worked so hard to study and found that they couldn't even answer a single question, it would be very easy for them to collapse. After considering this matter for a while, Li Longji proposed, why don't we give a few more spots to Reeds and Reeds Academy this year? With them as a foil, they should be stronger. After all, the requirements for Reed's and Reed's Academy are stricter. Besides the required knowledge, they also need to be proficient in government affairs. In the past few years, those who have successfully graduated as high scholars from Reed's and Reed's Academy have all passed the spring imperial examination. Your Majesty's words are correct. At present, many of the local officials of the Great Tang are already unable to adapt to the speed of the Great Tang's construction. The officials who originally performed can't keep up with the development pace set by Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. We should find more officials who are proficient in government affairs and send them to the local areas, or else they'll just be a burden. We should discuss this matter with the other officials. Gao Lisher had a rather good understanding of the current situation. In the past, the officials only needed to ensure that the people under their rule didn't cause too much trouble, repair the irrigation works, help record the output of the fields, pacify the people, and catch criminals. That would definitely give them an excellent score during the evaluation. But that wasn't the case in the present day. The local officials now didn't just want you to focus on whether or not you had a good harvest this year. Instead, they wanted you to plan for crops other than wheat, rice, and soybeans. They also wanted you to make rational use of the land to plant other economic crops. They wanted to teach the people what to plant and how to sell them. If the neighboring counties all grew the same thing, for example, sugarcane, the land planned by the officials wasn't suitable for planting, and the sugarcane they grew would have a lower sugar content than the surrounding counties. If there was no market for it, it would be considered a failure. It was the same for industry. What was suitable for processing, where to obtain the raw materials, the problems that would arise, and the final profits had to be considered beforehand. In addition, logistics, tourism, infrastructure, education, medical care, and many other things had to be considered. When calculating the county's finances, the ratio of output to input had to be calculated. This way, those who only had a family member who was an official or those who only wrote a few good essays were unable to adapt. As the Great Tang's agriculture and industry system gradually developed, many local officials were unable to become good officials, even if they wanted to. After hearing Gao Lisher's words, Li Longji's excited expression calmed down, and he sighed. Sigh. No wonder Xiao Bao likes to work in the Agriculture Office and Ministry of Works. After so many years of investment, we finally see results. But the talents can't keep up. From this year onwards, the learning before an official takes office can't just be a formality. The evaluation must be strict, and those who can't pass are not allowed to be demoted to be a local official. Not only will they harm the people and the country, they will also be digging their own graves. It's difficult to govern such a huge country. After this year's autumn examinations, should we transfer Xiao Bao to the head of the Secretariat? Your Majesty, you mustn't let Xiao Bao become the Prime Minister. Even if he has the ability, the other officials will be disappointed. Furthermore, Xiao Bao doesn't seem to know how to be an official. Gao Lisher immediately tried to dissuade Li Longji. He didn't want his godson to be roasted on the fire. Li Longji agreed that the officials were disappointed, but he didn't believe that Zhang Xiaobao didn't know how to be an official. It's not that Xiaobao and Cuckoo don't know how to be an official, but they don't want to. Would a person with a submachine gun play the same game as a person with a hoe? If you don't believe me, I'll bring them here for 2 days to see if there's anyone who can compete with them in half a month. After the examination, I'll have the two of them return to Bohai and settle the matters there. After that, Xiao Bao will enter the Ministry of Revenue, and Cuckoo will enter the Ministry of Military Personnel. They will be assistant ministers for a few months. While chatting, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's future positions were arranged by Li Longji. He didn't think too much about it and directly arranged for them to be assistant ministers. Chapter 909. After announcing their participation in this year's fall quarter examinations, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan left hand in hand. The people who were secretly protecting them heaved a sigh of relief. This kind of action was too dangerous. The merchants watched the two leave. They wanted to get closer, but they felt that their status was not high enough. The people who were preparing to participate in this year's fall quarter examinations were not in a hurry to leave. After all, it was a new thing. Who cared what it was? They would take a good look at it and write a poem or two. Perhaps this year's fall quarter examinations would have such a topic. The other ordinary people slowly moved forward. They wanted to get closer to the huge thing and feel what it felt like. At the same time, they were very curious about the price of the ticket. They did not know how much it would cost to take a ride. Since it was the first time a train had appeared, they would naturally think of ways to let people experience it. The person in charge of advertising began to use a loudspeaker to announce the speed and stability of a train. After speaking for a full hour, he finally announced the ticket price to the people around him. It was 50 copper coins. From Tang until Luoyang, there would be a stop midway. To be precise, there were 2 stops. One was north of the Yellow River, and the other was south of the Yellow River. That was, before and after transferring to the ship, it would cost 20 copper coins. This price was not high for the common people, but it was not low either. 50 copper coins could buy 4 to 5 bushels of rice and 10 bushels of millet. No one would come for a ride for no reason. In order to let more people experience it, the person in charge of advertising proposed a free 3-day, one-way trip. Those who wanted to ride could get a ticket, regardless of whether it was from Luoyang to Chang, or from Chang to Chang, and the one-way trip was free. Those who wanted to return would have to think of their own ways. Of course, it was impossible to only send one trip a day. When would they earn back the money spent on building the railway? When it started operating, one trip would be sent every 6 hours. When the goods were concentrated, they could send extra trains. The appearance of the train made people excited for a while. Most people wanted to experience the feeling. Some merchants considered the convenience of transporting goods in the future. Only a small group of people thought about the military aspect. Li Linfu, who hadn't turned bad yet, or rather, because Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were around, didn't have a chance to turn bad. Li Linfu considered military applications. He had his hot air balloon float to Li Longji's side and shouted, "Your Majesty, can this thing really travel 50 kilometers per hour?" Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan obtained a theoretical speed of 30 kilometers per hour. Under normal circumstances, they could reach more than 20 kilometers per hour, which was about 100 kilometers per hour. This was also the first time Li Longji had seen a real train. He estimated the speed and nodded. Yes, it is faster than an 800 Li Express train. Although there are telegrams now and the speed is faster, it is still very fast when used to transport an army. An 800 Li Express train will be limited by the speed of the horse, but the train will not be. If we build the railway to Longyu Road, at this point Li Longji stopped. He knew the cost of building a railway. Just the section from Chang until Luoyang would cost an unbearable amount. The cost of building a railway wasn't that high, but the requirements for the steel of the railway were too high. It wouldn't be able to bear the weight of the train if it was slightly inferior. He still didn't know that not only was the railway expensive, it was also not slow to make money. Li Linfu naturally thought of this point and replied, "Your Majesty, it is worth it even if it costs more. The faster the army is dispatched, the more stable the Great Tang will be. If we can increase the speed and reach Longyu Road in an instant, others won't have time to prepare." Fortunately, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't hear Li Linfu's words. Otherwise, they would definitely strangle him. If they wanted to travel from Chang to Tibet in an instant, they would only be able to do it at that time. Li Longji glanced at Li Linfu and didn't say anything. His meaning was very clear. Without money, they couldn't afford to build it. Li Linfu didn't continue to talk about this matter. He changed the topic and said, "Your Majesty, there is one thing that I don't understand. On flat ground or places where the slope is not big, the train can go. If it encounters a big slope, will it slip? At that time, it won't be able to go up or down. Even if it's a flat road, this subject is afraid that the train won't be able to carry too many things and will end up on the same spot." The moment he mentioned this, Li Longji also thought of this problem. He quickly sent someone to find Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. If they couldn't solve this problem, wouldn't the imperial court have wasted their money? It was fine to pull an empty carriage now, but would it be difficult to pull it when it was filled with goods? Not to mention the bare wheels on the bare tracks. Even a horse-drawn carriage would only be able to move if there were too many horses. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan hadn't gone far when they noticed that there were people following them. Just as they were preparing to give the other party an opportunity to make a move, they were found and asked to answer a question. "Why don't you think about such a simple matter yourself?" Zhang Xiaobao muttered as he walked to the bottom of Li Longji's hot air balloon and climbed up the soft ladder. Wang Wan wasn't in a hurry and waited for the people above to pull her up. Upon reaching the hot air balloon, Zhang Xiaobao first looked at Li Linfu, who was deep in thought, and said to Li Longji, "Your Majesty, as long as the locomotive can move such a heavy carriage, it won't be too heavy. We can add more weight to the locomotive to increase the friction. In fact, the locomotive is already very heavy, and it needs to be filled with water and coal." "Oh, I see." Li Longji didn't really understand, but since Zhang Xiaobao said it, it would definitely work. He asked, "Then what about the steep slope?" "Yes," Li Qing asked. Seeing that Zhang Xiaobao was looking at Li Linfu, Li Longji admitted to it. That's a good question." Zhang Xiaobao wasn't so polite to Li Linfu. He smiled and asked Li Linfu, "I don't know if Lord Li knows how a carriage works when going up a steep slope? What do people do when they carry heavy things up a steep slope? What is the shape of the mountain road when going up the mountain?" Li Linfu thought for a moment and replied, "It seems to be a zigzag shape, but how do trains move?" "Why can't trains move? Can't you see that there are two locomotives? Can't you just extend the track a bit and then change the track? Add something to change the track. In the future, don't ask such a childish question." Zhang Xiaobao seemed very unhappy as he gestured with his hands. Those who were paying attention to this matter understood. Although Li Linfu was depressed by Zhang Xiaobao's words, he couldn't help but admit that Zhang Xiaobao's words made sense. He nodded and suddenly thought of the cost of repairing the road. He felt that he couldn't let Zhang Xiaobao be so relaxed, so he asked, "I wonder if Lord Zhang has a way to solve the problem of the cost of repairing the railway to other places?" Zhang Xiaobao didn't care if Li Linfu was a hypocrite or not, so he turned his head and didn't say anything. He liked to suppress Li Linfu, and being able to suppress a legendary figure made him feel very happy. Li Longji also hoped that Zhang Xiaobao would suddenly become very magical and solve the problem with a single sentence. So he asked, "Xiaobao, do you have a way? If it really doesn't work, we can just repair it bit by bit." "Your Majesty doesn't need to worry. It's very simple. If it weren't for the fact that the railway from Chang until Luoyang was built by the imperial court, this subject would have already arranged for it to be repaired. The imperial court wouldn't have to spend a single copper coin. Primarily, this subject is worried that before the fact that the railway doesn't operate properly is revealed, other people won't be willing to take this risk. This subject is waiting for this railway to operate normally for a month. At that time, as long as the railway leads to a relatively prosperous place, the imperial court won't have to spend any more money. Even the department selling the railway tracks and the railway will be able to make a small profit." Zhang Xiaobao said without stopping until he was shocked to death. Hearing these words, even Li Longji, who believed that he had gotten used to his miraculous abilities, couldn't help but be stunned. "Tell me in detail," Li Longji seriously said. "In truth, it's nothing much. It's the same as when the Great Tang Bank was first established. Now, the Great Tang Bank has been completely returned to the country, and the railway is being repaired. Any merchant who puts in money can receive a portion of the shares and receive a proportional dividend, but they aren't allowed to buy or sell. There's a set time limit. They're also given the right to transport goods for free. Based on how much money they put in, they can transport as much goods as they want every day or every cycle. But when the imperial court requires it, they have to give priority to the goods or personnel of the imperial court. At the set time, if their income hasn't increased by half, including the cost of their free transport, that is, if their profits haven't reached 50%, they'll continue to be given the right to transport goods for free and increase the proportion of profits. If their profits have reached 100% before the set time limit, their shares will be automatically terminated. Presumably, there will be quite a few merchants willing to spend money to repair the railway. Zhang Xiaobao proposed a shareholding system, a system of shares with the nature of power. At the side, Gao Lisher thought about it. Xiaobao, what if they don't think it's worth it? Then what should they do? Gather them in your name? Don't. They can't always use my name. The things of the imperial court are the things of the imperial court. If they don't want to do it directly, they can entrust the Great Tang Bank to issue bonds or directly borrow money from the Great Tang Bank. It can be low interest or no interest. When the time comes, they will have to sign a contract with the Great Tang Bank. The borrower is only allowed to use the money on the railway. When the time comes, the money has to be deposited in the Great Tang Bank. Even though it's a state-owned enterprise, this has to be done according to the regulations. Otherwise, it will be a mess. Actually, the railway is a very profitable business. When it's not busy with transporting goods, they can even operate it with low profits or even zero profits. At that time, the imperial court will subsidize them. Zhang Xiaobao vetoed his own suggestion to step in and said something else. This time, there was another matter, and everyone was confused. Li Longji frowned. Why do we need to have zero profits, and the imperial court subsidize them? Where does the money come from? That you're tuning in to the Echo Reads YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.